The UMass Boston Beacons were able to put an end to a 2-game losing streak and also pick up their first victory last afternoon here with a 6-0 victory over New England College, and now a chance for a successful weekend overall as they host a team that has had their number in the all-time series. UMass Boston Beacons playing the Johnson & Wales Wildcats here this afternoon at Edward T. Barry Ice Rink in the Clark Athletic Center. Hello, everyone. I'm Mike O'Brien alongside Matt Meisenbacher, and thank you for tuning in on BeaconsAthletics.com. And Matt, for the Beacons, with a now 4-6-1 record overall and a 3-4 record in the NEHC. A real opportunity here, not for a successful weekend, but to get over the hump, maybe get to 500 here this afternoon.
Yeah, it's a team that's been coming along nicely here. And, you take a look, second line, which we were talking about a little bit, Lunn, Kozik, and McDougal doing a really nice job of really stepping up. This team's been waiting for one of these lines to start to click. And you take a look at what they've been able to do over the last few games, really starting to find some points. And I think that's a line that Coach is going to lean on here today.
Johnson & Wales also putting an end to a 2-game losing streak with a 2-1 victory over Southern Maine last night. They raised their record to 5-4 on the season and 4-1 in conference. But overall in the all-time series, it has been Johnson & Wales that has earned the firm edge, 4-1 and 4 straight. It hasn't been a win here for UMass Boston since the series opener way back in 2017, and the last meeting a tough 4-3 loss early in November. So again, no matter how Johnson & Wales and UMass Boston seem to be in the standings or where they are, Johnson & Wales has been able to get the victories. All these meetings decided by one goal.
Exactly. You took the words out of my mouth. It's very, very close, and a little bit of a rivalry, developing. Johnson & Wales not too far, located just outside Providence. I think the two, goes without saying, if you take a look at the stat sheet, the two players to highlight tonight for Johnson & Wales, number 18, Hannah Tracy, and number 11, Corin Russell. Corin Russell with a hat trick the last time these two teams faced off, so keep a look at her on the right side. But Hannah Tracy, I was watching her in warm-ups, Mike. She's got a big shot, and she can really move her feet. She's going to be a player to watch today.
Well, last time here at UMass Boston, these two teams faced off was last year. It was a low-scoring one. It was a tight one, as has been the case between these two squads. Let's take a look at the highlights from last year's 2-1 victory for the Wildcats.
Nolan loses the keys up in the store. Why not?
So the Beacons will try and change their fortunes not only from last year's loss to the Wildcats, but also the first meeting earlier this season, as the Wildcats 2-0 all-time here at UMass Boston. Let's take a look at the statistical breakdown between these two teams. As you see, kind of both teams pretty even up in terms of the offense, and Johnson & Wales maybe looks like defensively Beacons have the edge there, but what I'm looking at is the special teams, and it seems like not only if the Beacons can stay out of the box, well, That'd be great, but if not, they have a penalty kill to stand up here against Johnson & Wales.
Yeah, like you said, in a lot of these statistical categories, I mean, right on where you would expect them to be. Both power plays a little bit lacking. Usually like to see those up more closer to 20%. An area that I think both these teams, like you mentioned, if they get a couple chances today, will focus on. But one of the differences I'm interested to see, and we'll get to the goalie matchup here in a little bit, but the goals against 2-3-3 for UMass Boston, fairly average, but that really should be their strong point. And I think, like I said, we'll get to it, but Katie Flagg is going to have to hold down the fort here today.
Indeed. Both the power play and penalty kill second in the NEHC for UMass Boston. As we look at the statistical leaders for these two squads, and we'll see that the depth is there offensively for UMass Boston. Hannah McDougall leading the team 6 goals, getting 2 yesterday. But when you look at the top scorers here for the Wildcats, Matt, it's very top-heavy.
It is, and we mentioned that first line of Westgard, Tracy, and Russell, and I think they're going to log the most minutes. I mean, it goes without saying. You take a look at what they've done. Westgard, almost a point per 10 games played, 7 points. Russell, 10 games played, 9 points. And then Hannah Tracy, 10 games, 10 points. Anytime you're a point per, I don't care what league, that is considered strong. And so I think that top line will be a tough matchup here for the Beacons. We'll have to see how they go against it.
Kaylee Kozik, now your point leader for UMass Boston after more than doubling her point total just yesterday with that 5-point effort to raise her season total now to 9 on the season. And Erica Lunn and Hannah McDougall right behind her with 7 points each. We talked about the goaltending matchup. Let's take a look at this because Katie Flagg, quick turnaround for her, right back in between the pipes after an easy time of yesterday, just 11 saves needed for her third shutout of the season. And Claire Perry, who is perhaps known more for her tennis game for Johnson & Wales, getting her first career start as Jasmine Mucci. Looks like she's injured, and so perhaps the Wildcats make that the Beacons take advantage of a somewhat, I don't say babyface, but
unknown,
indeed.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned it. I was taking a look at the roster, and it's similar to make a comparison, like in an NFL, a quarterback, you don't know you have no game film on. There's stuff to prepare, right? You don't know what you're going to get. So I'll be interested to see how Perry plays. You mentioned the tennis aspect, so clearly an athlete. And Katie Flagg, I think we always expect her to be strong in net. She really is the backstop of this team. And I think when the Beacons do their best is when they support her, really limiting those grade A chances. There's been a few games here where they've given up a lot of opportunities in that slot, lack of coverage, blown coverage, whatever you want to call it. But when they remind themselves defense first, they really make things easy on Katie, and she's going to stop anything out of that grade A area.
You go back to the first meeting between these two teams November 9th. The shot advantage 2-1 for the Beacons, 36-18. Still you lose 4-3, and that's not just a goaltending failure. That's not just a defense failure. That is a team failure.
Absolutely.
And so obviously head coach Dom Losey is going to have that last game fresh in the memories of the Beacons.
Yeah, and it goes to what we're talking about. Sometimes it's not quantity, it's quality. You give a couple grade A opportunities. We saw that last night in the men's game. They outshot the team, like you said, almost 2-1, but the Suffolk team was able to get more grade A opportunities, and they end up in a 4-4 tie. So, like you said, I think Dom Losey has definitely watched the tape and going to want to limit those grade A chances.
So as both teams line up at their respective goal lines, we get the starters here. And Corin Russell, who had the hat trick and now 8 goals, will have the hat trick against UMass Boston, 8 goals on the season. The top line looks like it's going to get the start for Johnson Wales. Hannah Tracy at center, Andrea Westgard on the left wing. Defensively, it'll be Samantha Kowalska, the captain here for the Wildcats, alongside Cassidy Szymanski. And in net, we talked about already, Claire Perry making her second straight start, her second ever start, 1-0 on the season with a 1.41 goals against average and 95.9 save percentage. She made 28 saves yesterday in that 2-1 victory over Southern Maine. As we now look to the starters here for UMass Boston.
Hannah McDougall, freshman
Let
forward,
them handle it.
Mass.
Erica Lunn, senior forward, Kingston, Massachusetts.
Kaylee Kozik, sophomore forward, Wexford, Pennsylvania. Addie Buddington, freshman defenseman, Chicago, Illinois.
Jane Andrill, junior defenseman, Madison, Wisconsin.
Katie Flagg, senior goalie, Methuen, Mass.
People at UMass Boston, they're here because they know they can have an impact, not just on research, but on people, on their students.
This is just the starting point. It only has potential to grow, and it has a big potential to grow up.
You're really having a direct impact on people's lives, and you can see that now, and you can see that years from now.
So I think it's becoming like the place that people want to go.
What UMass Boston is able to offer to its young people certainly stands out to that mission that was set right out in the beginning. It's something UMass Boston should be and can be very proud about.
Welcome back here at Barry Ice Rink. Mike O'Brien alongside Matthew Meisenbacher. I'm going to get that right at some point here today. Let's get to the keys to game for this matchup between the Beacons and Wildcats. And you have to key in Corin Russell. She had the game-winning goal. She had the hat trick. And this Wildcats team is so top-heavy. If you can nullify Russell on the top line, you have to like your chances.
It really comes down to matchups, and you really try to limit. There's going to be situations in the game where you've got that top line out against your third or fourth line. It's natural. It happens in hockey. But I think as much as the Beacons can, they need to minimize and really match up well with that top line. I would love to see this second line go with that first line.
Take advantage of the chances. You had the 36-18 shot advantage last game. You fell 4-3, and keep the energy up in the final 20. Russell got that go-ahead goal early in the third period, and the Beacons just were not able to come from behind and tie things up and get the victory.
Well, and the other thing too, Mike, I mean, you take a look at the roster, you're missing one of your forwards and one of your D, so you're a little short-handed, and I think that contributes to the fact late in these hockey games, especially when it's a little bit too much run and gun, they're limited in the fuel that's left in the tank.
And here we go, center ice face-off won here by Johnson Wales, taken right back though by the Beacons. Onside is Lunn. She stops along the half wall, converged upon quickly, and a long angle shot gets deflected in behind the net. Quickly picked up here by Johnson Wales, spun out to center ice, where it's turned back over to UMass Boston. Lunn handles once again. She'll push it back to her own blue line, handcuffed Buddington in the process. But plenty of time to regather here for UMass Boston. Failed clear, though, by Kozik, but poked back out to the neutral zone. And that will go fluttering into the scorer's table, and we'll have our first stoppage play. Referees here today, John Kasaluskas, Todd LeBlanc, and linesman Marissa Perry. So our first stoppage comes 34 seconds in. And the draw will come right outside the Beacons' end.
That's another key there, Mike. This team, I've seen them very strong on draws, and here's a 2-on-1.
Ryan will take it herself. Save made by Perry. Rebound still loose. Comes back to Colucci. She'll fire. And a stick save there by Perry. Picking that up at the last moment.
I'll tell you what, good start for this goaltender. A 2-on-1 save, and that rebound went right to the slot. Another one after that.
Colucci now right point. Back towards the front of the net. Big rebound after the pad save. Pops all the way back to the blue line here for Fisher. Fisher, though, unable to field that pass. That split the defenseman unintentionally from the stick of Katie Leffler. And now Flagg trying to start the transition for UMass Boston. Instead laid back down low here by Katrina Deere, the freshman from Fulton, California.
A couple really nice saves there. Take a look at Perry. 3 quality chances for UMass Boston, and Perry coming up with all of them.
So good start here in terms of the possession and chances as Flagg with a cover on the far post. 18:31 still to be played here in the first period. And good to see that top line, Hernandez, Ryan, and Leffler. They were kind of the second act yesterday to the second line of Kozik, McDougall, and Lunn. But some good chances there early for the top line of UMass Boston. Now pushing the pace, the senior, Julia Nolan. Up the near side wall, will play it off the boards for herself. First to that loose puck in the corner. Rimmed up towards the blue line. Saxer with a shot that goes off the rear wall. And quickly back to blue line, well defended. Held onside though by UMass Boston, only for a brief time as open with time and space. Drea Westgard put it right back on the stick of Sacco. Now maybe numbers here, no, offside as Nolan tried to break it across the blue line with Valieris just an inch ahead of the play.
Yeah, just offsides there. And I like what I've seen. A couple good shifts here, some good speed from UMass Boston. Johnson and Wales looking a little bit flat, quite honestly, to start this hockey game. Now, a couple shifts now where they found themselves a little bit pinned in their own zone.
Big collision at the blue line. Getting the worst of that was the Johnson and Wales defenders, Hannah McDougall. Did not give way at all. This is laid down the ice. They say no icing. And so giving chase, Lizzie Saxer. Kozik. Off the wall to herself. Will try and maneuver it further. Instead, back to the Johnson and Wales end. And a nice lead pass that comes free here for Wakefield. Back in front, and they score. Catherine Mason goes top shelf on the 2-on-1. So one mistake there for UMass Boston, and Johnson and Wales able to capitalize.
Well, they got caught puck watching, Mike. It's a little bit of a turnover off the near wall here. Next thing you know, Johnson and Wales comes out the other side, and all of a sudden, defense puck watching. You got a 2-on-0 on your goaltender. I mean, Flag's a capable goaltender, but pretty tough on a 2-on-0, especially a backdoor chip in under the bar. A nice play by Johnson and Wales. A quick transition off that turnover to create that odd man rush, but that's a really bad lapse there for the Beacons. Can't have that.
So they fall behind here against Johnson and Wales. Leffler trying to answer here for the Beacons as she curls that puck in the slot, played away. Now for Ryan, taken away from her nicely by the Wildcats defense. Not a lot of space there in the offensive zone for UMass Boston. Colucci will just clear the zone. So Catherine Mason, who's scored double digits in goals all 3 seasons, now her 5th of the year, not the person you want to let alone in front of your net, and she's able to take advantage. Now,
no, not at all. Not at all, Mike.
So an early lead here for the Wildcats as Leffler, her rink-wide pass off a skate, just lays there for the gather by Buddington and touched on sides by UMass Boston. They'll switch up their personnel.
Curious to see what the response is going to be. Johnson and Wales now with a little bit of spark as they enter the zone, feeling a little bit more confident about themselves after that quick goal.
You just got done making the point that they looked a little flat here in this game. And again, UMass Boston did have the easier time of it yesterday against New England College, while it was a tough 2-1 battle for Johnson Wales yesterday. As a backhand shot just misses there from the Wildcats. And also Johnson Wales having to travel today. But they seem to have shaken off the cobwebs here in the early going, as now Valieris denied entry well offside is Mia Sacco, who's unable to hold her edge. And so both puck and player ahead of the play.
And that can happen. You make a good point. I did think, in the travel, it's relatively early. Like you said, quick turnaround. I thought Johnson and Wales was just a little bit flat to start this game, but one turnover, one scoring opportunity, you bury it, and now all of a sudden the alarm clocks go off, and Johnson and Wales is right back into it.
Now Kozik with a floating wrist shot that whistles wide. Nice keep there by the Beacons. Can they take advantage? Kozik wasn't expecting that pass. A little bit behind her from McDougall. Now Buddington pinches down from the blue line. Turnover by the Wildcats. Kozik in front looking for McDougall. And stout defense that time by Taylor Davis. They have the front of that net covered. You're not going to catch them with someone alone in front of their netminder. And probably playing a little more safe defense with Perry, so new and fresh-faced here in the goaltending position, well, at least in terms of playing time here this season.
That's a great point.
As drills one towards the net. Nice save once again by Perry. Most of those shots here from UMass Boston, though good chances, have come from long distance or from the point.
They absolutely have, and I think the other piece too, they're doing a nice job being very aggressive on the blue line a couple times now, where the Beacons defense have pinched and continued on the forecheck, creating some of that pressure in the zone, but once they get in that zone, really having a tough time trying to get towards that front of the net. A lot of these shots from distance.
Ryan trying to get that puck a little closer here to Perry. That's Hernandez. Has that stolen away. Chugging the other way, Cassie Wakefield, the native of North Vancouver, British Columbia, now in her senior season. And the Beacons defense drawn to that puck behind the net. Leffler, 2-on-2 through center. She's onside along with Ryan. Leffler, bad angle shot stopped by Perry. Where's the puck? Ultimately picked up here by Kawezka. And punted out the center. So, hard forecheck coming here from the Wildcats that forced the turnover. There's Riley, backhand shot, flag. We'll gobble that up. 14 minutes still to be played here in the first period. It is 1-0 Johnson Wales thanks to the Catherine Mason goal early in this first period.
And Grace Fisher, senior defenseman, you know better than that. Can't have a turnover at your own blue line like that. Got to make a quicker decision. That could have really been, had that been a lefty versus a righty, I think could have been a different story in terms of that scoring opportunity there.
You wonder a little bit in terms of the mental game as this shot is blocked at the blue line here. Another chance. Westgard had that blocked in front and came in on flag. She squeezed the pads after playing a team like New England College where effectively the Beacons were able to do whatever they wanted over the course of that game. Now you come back and you're feeling good after the 6-0 win. Everyone put up points. Now you have a tougher opponent, and things that worked yesterday may not work today against Johnston Wales.
Couldn't agree more. And on top of it, you really did start well. I think anyone could feel the energy. Probably coaching staff on the bench, okay, we've got a good start here at home, and then you give one up. What's your mental attitude like now? Okay, we're down here. We started the way we want to start it, yet we're down. How are we going to respond? I agree. I think it's a quick opportunity for them to jump back into this hockey game and test that mental aptitude.
Just held inside the zone there by Deere. And now Mason able to dip around Saxer. Coming over to bail her out, though, was Drill. So good team defense that time by the Beacons. Drill gains that red line and will get that deep into the Wildcats' end. Kozik there. Kozik now 4 goals, 5 assists on the season. Kozik along with Lunn looking for that loose puck. And then Lunn with a chance. That goes wide. Mason in behind her own net. And the breakout pass will find Wakefield. And taken right back by Colucci as the Beacons touch up. Colucci still has it. She gets by 2 defenders. Able to rigor herself free. And in behind the net. Valliers with a shot and a sprawling save there by Perry. Stacking the pads to do so, though. She ended up getting it with her paddle.
Yeah, nice stop there, but I really like the play by Colucci to create that offense. It really didn't look like much. It was a 1-on-2, and Colucci did very well getting that puck deep and then driving towards the front of the net. I like the play there by number 24.
Wildcats finally clear the zone. Valliers quickly looking for transition time, and now a chance here maybe for Nolan. She weaves to the left circle. Nolan with a shot, partially nullified, comes in on Perry, and she's got the cover with Colucci looking for that loose puck.
You saw her there again, the defenseman, and I really do when defense feel that confidence and join the rush and continue on like that. I like it. The one thing there, though, Mike, would have loved to see Julie continue on there. I think maybe 1 or 2 more strides. She continues to find a little bit more space. Instead, she tried that shot as a nice backhand there. A good stop by Perry. But if Nolan just continues on, I think maybe 1 or 2 more strides. And you can see the coaching staff, I think, probably relaying that message now. Creates a little bit more time and space for the forward there. Maybe get a better shot.
Hernandez wins this face-off. That was a bit of a problem in the last meeting where the Beacons lost basically 13 of 47. Only won about 13 of 47 face-offs. They're looking much better in that area so far here today. But Saxer can't keep this onside. The Beacons will retreat back out the center ice. 11:38 still to be played here in the first period. 1-0 here for the Wildcats. The Beacons playing from behind. Different story from what we saw last meeting as a nice tap away that time by Cordomanchi. Now a trip will be whistled ultimately as soon as the Wildcats touch up. Just lay it onside here, and so unless Leffler wins that race and too much real estate for her to cover, the first power play of the game will go to UMass Boston.
And here we go. We talked about a little bit in the pregame how important special teams were going to be. And here we are in the first period. Beacons with a power play. We've seen glimpses of what they're capable of doing. They have plenty of talent and ways to create offense. But I think your point you just made, face-offs. This is an in-zone draw. If you can win it, instant offense. If you lose it, you're probably coming back into the zone, losing 15, 20 seconds. And now Johnson and Wales with their center toss. Great advantage here.
And Kowalska, the defenseman, unable to win it, but the puck will flutter out to center ice where the Beacons will get back on side on the season. 17.4 conversion rate on the man advantage. 8 for 46. They went 1 for 4 yesterday as a shot from Drill blocked in front and slid back out to the neutral zone.
Those shots from the point, really got to try to get those through. Obviously, with no one behind you, easy clear. And I like the thought from Joe, get to that center of that ice, but just got to find the lane. Doesn't always have to be the hardest shot, just got to get it through.
Puck battle won that time by the Wildcats in a quick clear. And already 1/4 of this man advantage over. Lunn. Nice pass to get Leffler in across the blue line. Looking to play it off the wall herself would have been a nifty move, and the Beacons have to wait to touch up in the midst of a change. So a little discombobulation here at center ice as a second unit will come over the boards with 1 minute remaining in this power play for UMass Boston.
Yeah, struggling with some zone entry here, Mike. And Johnson and Wales essentially giving them the neutral zone, but then attacking as soon as they hit the blue, and it's causing fits for this Beacons team.
They've been really good with the sticks on pucks, especially along the boards. And it looks like we're going to have a penalty away from the play, roughing the call, so some frustration perhaps for UMass Boston, and we'll have 4-on-4 hockey.
Yeah, tough start to this game for Fisher. Already a couple turnovers and now a penalty, and that'll eliminate the remaining 47 seconds. So obviously Johnson and Wales will have a little power play of their own on the back end of this 2-minute roughing penalty.
47 seconds of 4-on-4 time. A lot of open ice out there for both teams. Mason unable to navigate. About 3 defenders there for UMass Boston, but Colucci turns over to Mason. Shot blocked, though, as Buddington was able to get in the lane. Mason's been very dynamic here in the first period so far for the Wildcats. Now she trips up her man, and no call coming that time. Looks like the referee didn't want to call back-to-back-to-back penalties.
It's possible.
We'll keep it 4-on-4. 17 seconds remaining in the 4-on-4 situation before Johnston Wales will get its first power play of this contest. Lunn forced a turnover. Can't locate the puck, though. Ultimately found here by the Wildcats. Out to center, Haley Boyle. One of 7 freshmen on this squad. And you talk about Johnston Wales maybe being a bit young, but they have some good freshmen. Ryan with a backhand shot. That's steered away by Perry.
Couple times now, Beacons have been able to use the wall with speed coming down. It looks like these forwards might be a little bit faster than the Wildcat D. A couple times now where they've simply, really with low resistance, have been able to penetrate that wall. So we'll have to see if that'll continue.
Johnson and Wales on the man advantage here for another 45 seconds. Centering pass, well read by Ryan. Unable to get it over the glove of Drea Westgard waiting at the blue line. Now she'll hammer one towards. That tipped off the post. As looks like that was Szymanski getting a piece of that. Szymanski, the defenseman, playing in front of the net. And a failed clear there. Now Ryan will poke it down the ice, and she'll get a much-deserved change with 23 seconds remaining in the penalty to Grace Fisher. 8:20 left in this first. Still 1-0 Johnston Wales, almost 2-0. But the Iron helping Katie flag out on that last chance.
Yeah, 100% redirected on the way in, and those are nightmares for goaltenders. You've got to read on it 80% of the way, and then all of a sudden it changes direction on you.
Now weaving around the zone, Hannah Tracy, backhand shot, save is made, rebound was loose there for Russell. As Fisher out of the box, now maybe some numbers here for the Beacons if they can hurry. Lunn onside, takes a pass, shoots up high on Perry, she makes a chest save. Leffler able to get it back, takes a little pick there from Lunn. It's back to 5-on-5 hockey. Curl to the blue line for Colucci, she'll waste no time shooting, and a masked save by Perry. And she'll freeze it for the stoppage and try and slow things down.
I like that quick release. I like that quick release from Colucci there. Just get it and fire it to the net. You know you've got forwards after the rush. You've got a couple players in front. I really like that quick release from Colucci. She had some heat on it as well.
Face-off will come to the near circle here. Another one won by the Beacons as Kozik will spin it in towards behind the net. Breakout failed there for Johnston Wales, and so they'll try again now from the near side of the zone. And this one, high degree of difficulty, but it does ultimately clear their own end. Wakefield.
Again, Mike, the Beacons doing a good job. It seems to be attacked as another shot. That's a good stop there from Flag, but Beacons really, almost at all points, pinching on that blue line and really creating a lot of traffic. Tough some of these clears.
Swiping that one and clearing the zone. No icing, though, as that second line has been really the most difficult one to handle here. We talked about Russell, Hannah Tracy, and Drea Westgard and how this team may be a bit top-heavy, but with Catherine Mason as your second-line center, Wildcats have been able to do some damage here so far. Wakefield behind the net. Stolen away nicely by Saxer. Now she'll survey her options. Bounces out the center ice. Good step up that time by Taylor Davis. So just 4 defensemen dressing here today for Johnson & Wales. 3 seniors, though, as that goes bouncing wide of Perry. Hernandez looking for Saxer, was open at the blue line. Good stick and lane that time by Johnson & Wales. And now back on side, Leffler. Unable to get it by the defenseman initially, and then a shot from Leffler, stopped by Perry.
It was pretty close. Saw some daylight there. Pucks have a tendency of finding eyes, but I agree with you. You mentioned briefly there the 4 defense for Johnson & Wales for the Wildcats, and I don't think that's something we need to necessarily worry about here in the first period. But as this game drags along, similarly, the Beacons a little bit shorthanded with the roster they put out, but with 4 defensemen, I mean, you really don't have much option. You've got to try to rotate as best you can, but no matter what, it's a taxing game. It will be interesting to see what they have left for the third period.
Puck loose atop the crease and shot in there by Drill. Tying things up with 5:43 left in the first period. Got that puck down the crease, and crashing net was the defenseman, and she's able to get it home.
Yeah, just a really nice play, and the defense have been very active today, Mike, and this is something I haven't seen a ton of from this team yet. It's clearly been an adjustment, something that was addressed by this coaching staff. You take a look, Jane Ann Drill, we'll show you the replay here in a second, able to come in off that blue line and really attack hard towards that front of the net. The rebound was there, and it didn't take very long. I like to just don't think about it. When you get a rebound like that, just drill it home, and no pun intended, but Jane Ann, number 25, with a well-deserved goal there, tie this thing up at 1.
Drill with her first goal of the season. And Drill getting an important goal here for UMass Boston now with less than 6 minutes to go until the intermission.
Really like the aggressive nature of these D today. They are really feeling confident about their skating ability if they get caught getting back, and you can see a few times now, a turnover there, but pinching at the blue line, and you saw Drill attacking the front of the net. These D are joining the rush today. It's great to see.
Valieris towards the front of the net, lays along the near post, and pop back up the blue line. Colucci started to pinch in, but plenty of time to regather. Long shot off of the defenseman's stick and wide there of Perry. Up the wall, not quite out just yet for Johnson & Wales. Wildcats turn over. Beacons transition. Colucci unable to get by the long reach that time of Haley Cordomanchi. Now Lunn tripped up. That's going to be another call. Errant with the stick was Catherine Mason. And so back to the power play for UMass Boston. Time of the call, 15:22.
Both referees had it. That's how you know you're dead to rights, right? Usually it's one guy, and okay, you got a penalty, but if both hands go up at the same time, you know you can't really argue those.
And so the second power play of the game. First one was abbreviated because of a penalty taken by UMass Boston. Let's see what they can do on their second chance of this afternoon. So Sacco, the freshman, will start to set things up. Colucci stands at the blue line. Will let Hernandez handle the puck. And now it's at center blue line. Shot in on Perry. Save made. Rebound chance. Goes wide up the stick of Leffler. Colucci now deep inside the zone. Be careful for maybe a shorthanded chance with a couple forwards playing up top for UMass Boston. And then off the post there, put back. Perry Colucci puts over the crossbar and wide.
Oh, you can't get any closer than that. 2 of those were absolute no-brainers. Couldn't find the back of the net.
Center point for Colucci. Now here for Leffler. Shot and a save. And covered up by the netminder. So plenty of action, plenty of chances. As we take a look at that first goal again here for UMass Boston. Jane and Drill.
Yeah,
tying things up.
Simple play here. Just get it towards the front of the net. Now watch this rebound. You come through and Drill, and that's a defenseman, folks. That's not a forward. Right there's your shot. There's your rebound.
Shot in there by
That's just a
Drill.
simple hockey play. Crashing that front. You learned that very early on in this game. That's where you want to score goals, and Jane Ann Drill doing a great job. But two chances there to take the lead, and UMass will get you that replay here at next whistle.
1:04 still to go here on the man advantage. As Lunn able to wrestle free from the hook there behind the net. Drill. Quickly here for Fisher. Blocked in front. Good work by Drea Westgard. One of the co-captains here for the Wildcats, and that's a strong play on the PK.
Yeah, those. I mean, if you anytime any team will tell you if you're going to have a strong penalty kill, you got to block shots, and that's a nice block there from the captain.
Al Fisher able to maneuver all the way around the net. And we'll hand off now for Drill. Drill. Look for something in the high slot. That high tip there for McDougal. That goes wide. Kozik. Back to the point here for Drill. Hands off for Lunn. Now loose in between the hash marks. Under a fallen player. That's Kawezka. They dig after it. Still loose. Back under Kawezka it goes. And a stuff shot never reached the net of Perry.
I think if you hurry here, you got some tired Wildcats on this ice right now.
Fisher has to take a moment to recollect. Lunn back out there. Had McDougal in front for a moment as Kozik holds up along the half wall. Johnson Wales about to get back to full strength. And now out of the box there is Mason, unable to take that breakaway pass.
Got to be aware there. Drill's got to know you got some noise coming from the bench and from your goaltender. You're running short on that power play. You can't get that shot blocked.
And so now offense here after they get back to full strength for Johnson and Wales. 2:18 remaining here in the first. 1-1 the score. Beacons look to get this off the wall and out. Drill couldn't handle though.
Got to make a decision there. She double clutched a few times. Was looking for an outlet, didn't have it. Just take it off the boards and get it changed. And this shouldn't go for icing, so you get your change here.
And sometimes you just have to ice it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've been out there for a while. You never want to ice it, but sometimes that's the best play.
Much rather, it's the lesser of two evils, right? You'd much rather an icing versus getting a turnover at your own blue line and a quick odd man rush down back on your goaltender.
Leffler now here, and a save on Brian from Perry, who was alone on the left hash mark. 102 seconds until the intermission. It remains 1-1. Your goal scorers here today, Catherine Mason, who, if she's able to collect that pass cleanly out of the penalty box, another breakaway for her.
And it didn't miss by much. Yeah, it was very, very close. We saw as soon as that shot was blocked, we both looked right at that box, and you saw she was just trying to get as open as possible to get that puck. And boy, you wonder if that pass connects, what we might be talking about now. But still a 1-1 hockey game.
Face-off controlled once again by UMass Boston. It's Westgard. And the top line on the ice now for Johnson and Wales. Reverse pass for Colucci. Marked well, though, by Russell. Still able to get by the freshman initially, but pinching down to hold on side, Westgard. UMass Boston will give it another try here on the breakout. Colucci gave her right back over to the Wildcats around the net. Stuff shot. Flag makes a save. Still loose and taken by Leffler. 2-on-2 through center with Ryan. Leffler pulls wide of Kawezka. Shot/pass will go all the way to the far side wall. Lunn pokes along, and now Kawezka with a head of steam up ice. Leads along for Tracy. Backward defense is Fisher. Tracy in the high slot still has it. Now Tracy will wind and fire, and a rising shot off the shoulder of Flag into the netting. 40.1 remaining in the first period.
Well, Fisher almost got caught again, but did a good job recovering and not creating a 3-on-1 opportunity. It's a 3-on-2. They were able to stuff that, but I think a nice save there from Flag. You know, you don't see too many stand-up saves these days, but that's a nice one there from Flag. Was able to read it right off the tape, get it off the shoulder, and put it off into the netting. That's a good stop.
Now Lunn. Backhand pass hits McDougal on the tape. McDougal looking for Kozik ahead of her. Kozik regathers. Back in front for McDougal behind her on that feed. And so Johnson and Wales will just dump it back out the center. And maybe one last chance for UMass Boston. They can hurry. Kozik in on Perry, and she's able to gain an offensive zone faceoff after the cover by Perry.
Curious to see what the coaching staff, what Dom Losey does here. Feeling like she likes this second line. I thought maybe get some fresh legs out there, put your best center out, but likes what she sees, giving her senior captain a chance to win this faceoff.
Unable to do so, and Kawezka smartly just retreats behind her own net to try and waste the remaining time here in the first period. Turned over to Fisher, pushed along the wall, pinballs around, and that will bring us to a close of the first 20 minutes of hockey. So the Wildcats able to strike first on Mason's fifth of the season, but answering back the defenseman Jane Ann Drill with her first of the year, and so that's where we stand, level at 1 after 20 minutes of hockey.
Yeah, pretty nice first period there. I thought both teams did a fairly decent job. I think that the opportunity is definitely more towards the Beacon side. had more scoring opportunities. We'll take a look at the team stats once we get them loaded for you. But ultimately, we find ourselves at a 1-1 game, and I think Johnson and Wales are able to capitalize early. That one scoring opportunity they had, that the 2-on-0 on flag, brought this team alive, and they took a couple penalties after that, which brought the Beacons back into this game. But fairly even hockey game and a fairly even period there as we enter the first intermission tied at 1.
Well, yesterday, before it was a 6-0 win over New England College, it was just a 1-0 lead for UMass Boston. It all worked out when it was all said and done for the Beacons. A big afternoon for Kaylee Kozik. Let's take a look how it all went down yesterday in the victory for UMass Boston.
First things first, I'ma say all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been. Oh, ooh, the way that things have been. Oh, ooh. Second thing, second, don't you tell me what you think that I can be. I'm the one at the sail, I'm the master of my sea. Oh, ooh, the master of my sea. Oh, I was broken from a young age, taking my soak into the masses, writing my poems for the few that look at me, took at me, shook at me, feeling me, singing from heartache, from the pain, taking my message from the veins, speaking my lesson. Beauty through the
Well, plenty of stats to go around yesterday and the victory over the Pilgrims. But let's go to the stats for the first period of play. UMass Boston, again, a heavy shot advantage as it was in the first meeting. 18-7 as the goaltender, Claire Perry. Monster first period despite allowing the one goal, and flag on the other side of the ice between the pipes had to be stout at times, and the only goal she allows on a naked 2-0 as Catherine Mason able to put that past her.
Yeah, as a former goaltender myself, I think I'd rather be on the 18 shots. So a lot of goaltenders will tell you the more action they see, the better they are. They can get into a groove. They have a feel for the game, and when you have less, it's really hard to kind of stay mentally into it, right? You're only getting a shot every few minutes. You got to find ways to be active, and I thought Perry did a really nice job. She gave up the one goal on the rebound. Those will happen, but 18 shots in a period, that's almost 2 periods worth of shots there. So a really active period for her. And you take a look at the penalties there, 1 for 2, or 1 penalty for 2 minutes there, and 2 for 4 for Johnson and Wales. So a few special teams opportunities, which we'll continue to highlight throughout the day.
And Perry made some good saves on that second power play. The first two, the first power plays for either side nullified due to the penalties, or not nullified, but shortened. And the face-off battles pretty much split down the middle, though a slight edge. UMass Boston. The first period intermission stats are brought to you by PS Gourmet Coffee with 3 locations in the Boston area. PS Gourmet offers over 100 flavors of coffee, with each made with Fresh brewed coffee, home of the bucket, PS Gourmet Coffee. Let's take a look around Beaconville here for UMass Boston as the women's basketball team trails Keene State here in the first quarter, and later on it'll be the men's hockey side hosting Johnson & Wales at 4 p.m., so don't go very far after the conclusion of this game, and a doubleheader up at Keene State as men's basketball tips off at 3 p.m. And don't forget indoor track and field. They open up their season today at Emmanuel College. Speaking of the men's hockey team, well, it was a back-and-forth battle that ended up in a 4-4 tie against Suffolk, as the Beacons probably wanted a better result. But let's take a look at last night's action here at Barry Rink.
Avicii exclusive mix.
Hey brother, there's an endless road to rediscover. Hey, the water's sweet but blood is thicker. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing I wouldn't do. Hey, brother, do you still believe in one another? Hey, sister, do you still believe in love? I wonder. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you. What if I'm far from home? Oh, brother, I will hear you call. What if I lose it all? Oh, sister, I will help you out. Oh, if the sky comes falling down for you, there's nothing in this world I wouldn't do.
Avicii exclusive mix. Avicii exclusive mix.
Hey, brother, there's an
So 60 minutes and then some, not able to declare a victory yesterday as UMass Boston does come from behind to earn a point in that 4-4 tie over Suffolk. Let's take a look at the NEHC hockey scoreboard as Norwich shutting out Southern Maine right now 2-0. The number 3 team in the nation. Castleton leads New England College 1-0. Also at the end of the first, and some games to come. Plymouth State and Wesleyan in an out-of-conference matchup. Salem State and Suffolk U. And an NEHC contest, 5:30 p.m. The puck drop there. Let's look ahead now for the women's side, and just 2 games before the holiday break. The home closer here in 2019 will be against Nichols College just 3 days from now, 7 p.m., and then they finish up on the road, Salem State University, 6 p.m. next Friday. And then quick into the new year, Nichols College once again, this time at Nichols. But before the break, we talked about this during the pregame, Matt, in that you're 4-6-1, you get a win here, you got 2 games on the schedule that are winnable. Not only can you get above 500 overall, but in the NEHC, which is very important as you head into the new year.
Yeah, and especially after a really tough start to the way this season started. Didn't get their first win there a while after the season had started. You get a chance here if you can take care of business today, get a little bit of momentum to finish up the year. You can really put yourself in a nice position going into 2020.
Indeed. And so let's take a look at the stats here from the first period of play. It was a good start for UMass Boston, but back and forth through the rest of their first 20 minutes.
Yeah, and we'll roll through some highlights here, but I think, one of the things for me, taking a look at the way that this game started, I thought UMass Boston really came out of the gates firing, and you see early on here a 2-on-1. This was right after a couple good shifts from UMass Boston, and Johnson & Wales is able to capitalize on really just kind of a bad play by all the players on the ice. I mean, no chance for a flag there. That looks like something out of practice more than a game. And the Beacons responded fairly well, and I thought you'll see a couple shots on goal here. They really were firing towards that front of the net. You'll notice the D really crashing towards that front. That one was redirected. That could have easily made it a 2-0 hockey game. But after that, you'll see the goal here. The rebound and Drill doing, a great job coming in off that blue line, charging towards the front of the net. You'll get a second look at it here. There's the initial shot, and then the rebound. That's a defenseman, folks. That's not a forward. Jane Drill doing a great job capturing that rebound and jamming it home. And then late in the period here, UMass Boston just continued to fire. I really like this shot from Colucci. It's a bad angle, but put herself in a position. I think it might have glazed off the pipe there, put her team in a position as they continue to whack away at it to try and take the lead. But I thought overall a fairly solid period by both teams, but I thought the Beacons had the advantage.
Indeed, and looking at that last replay, didn't realize it went off the stick of Kawaiska. Looked like it was maybe an open net missed there by the Beacons, but good defensive play. Let me ask you this, because you're a former goaltender, and Claire Perry making her second career start in for injured goaltender Jasmine Mucci. It seems like the defensemen have been kind of packing it in. At least the entire five-man unit went on defense for Wildcats, kind of packing it in front of their new starter here for Johnson & Wales. Will that give the defensemen for the Beacons opportunities to get into dangerous areas and get those offensive opportunities?
Absolutely, and it's very, very challenging for some of these as a defensive unit to recognize when D are being ultimate aggressive like that. I think from a goaltending perspective, love to see when they pack the house like that, but not when it becomes too passive and you lose that aggression. You just kind of accept the fact that a team, we're going to give them a shot here. Let's make sure they don't get the rebound. That could be a little bit frustrating as a goaltender. Would like to see Johnson Wales perhaps a little bit more aggressive and definitely making sure they pick up some of these Beacons defensemen, as they are it's clearly their strategy today to charge that front of the net and be very, very aggressive coming off that blue line.
Well, we will step aside here at Barry Ice Rink. When we return, we'll get you all ready for the second period of play. It's 1-1, Beacons and Wildcats on beaconsathletics.com.
For the love of the game. That's what it's all about, they say. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that. A lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team and the schools and communities we represent.
And for the many of us blessed with the strength to compete in sport at the college level, we understand that with what we were given comes a special obligation.
An obligation not merely to work towards a personal best in the classroom or in the sport we love, but rather an obligation to help those who have their own special needs and whose love for the game is no less intense.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics. For Special Olympics athletes, victory belongs not only to those who first cross the line, but to all of those who compete and endure.
They are challenged in ways we cannot imagine. They are survivors who test themselves harder and with greater joy than we will ever know.
Since August of 2011, we and others from Division III campus communities have volunteered more than 250,000 hours, time away from the classroom and practice field, reaching across the country to coach and mentor Special Olympics athletes.
And to learn, as we all do, that in giving we receive so much more in return.
Sport ennobles us, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
Be part of it.
Get involved.
You can make a difference.
Hello and welcome back here at the Clark Athletic Center at Barry Ice Rink. I'm Mike O'Brien with Matt Meisenbacher as the Beacons come on for the second period of play. They're all tied up with Johnston & Wales, 1-1. Matt, if you're head coach Dom Losey in the locker room between periods, what are you saying to your team as they come out for the second?
Well, I think the strategy has been clear. I mean, let's activate the D as much as possible. I mean, we've noted that, but I think the other piece too is they seem to be really able to enter the zone with some speed. A couple times these wingers have been able to just take the puck and run right down the wall past these Johnson & Wales Wildcats. So I'd continue that. For Johnson & Wales, I think we've got to find a way to create a little bit more offense. We haven't seen much of that top line. I think the matchups have not been in their favor yet so far today. They have had some secondary scoring, which is always fantastic, but would love to see ways if Johnson & Wales can activate some of their top scorers a little bit more.
UMass Boston now traveling right to left on your video screen. It'll be Lunn in the face-off circle against Tracy to start off this middle period. And so this back-and-forth battle that's lasted 4 years at this point carries on here with the second 20 minutes of hockey. Loose puck. Drill trying to swipe it along to Buddington, able to do so. And now laid onside here for Lunn. She'll collect that puck. Shot and a save by Perry. Looking for perhaps the pass off the pads from McDougall, but a little too high on that shot from Lunn.
A little bit high, and you know who's fortunate there is Kaweza. She caught an edge there right on the blue line, and that really didn't look like much of a play at first, but after she went down, it was a small 2-on-1 there, and I think you're right. That shot a little bit high right in the chest there. Pretty easy stop for Perry.
Now loose behind the net. And around it comes. Russell unable to clear. Drill will just send it cross corner. And now an exile zone here for Johnson Wales. Retrieved by Drill. Lead feed for Lunn. Lunn right in front of the Wildcats bench. Lunn lost for a moment. She'll recover and now lay it onside as she heads off for a change. Coming over the boards now at forward. The top line, Leffler, Hernandez, and Ryan. As we have a stoppage play. Puck went out of play, it looks like. Or did we have an offside? Or we had a cover when we weren't looking. And by
Tough.
we, I mean me.
We got a tough angle. I think it went out of play, but yeah, there it is. All right, we got one coming in from the scorer's desk. So yeah, out of play. Tough for this angle, Mike. Huh?
We got there together. Sometimes it's the destination, not the journey.
I agree with you. As long as you get there.
This face-off won and controlled by the Wildcats. Turnover, though, as Hernandez looks for some space in the high slot. Back to the blue line for Colucci. Shot it on net, goes wide. Ryan right there looking for the tip.
Really like Colucci getting those pucks through, man. She's got the quick release, and she's just looking to get it not necessarily on net every time, but in an area where her forwards can maybe redirect the puck, or she gets kind of a pinball play and gets it on net. I really appreciate that from, an aspect that doesn't always have to be the perfect shot that beats a goaltender. Sometimes it's just getting it to an area where you can create a play.
Indeed. It doesn't always have to be the most accurate or the hardest. Get it towards the front of the net. You never know what will happen. As a loose puck bounces off a Wildcats defender. It's Nolan behind the net. Helped along there by Leffler. Reverse pass, though, only finds Davis here for Johnson & Wales. And she'll send a long feed that goes off the tip of Wakefield's stick. This will not be icing. And line change time here for the Wildcats. Numbers through center here for the Beacons. Valieris with a shot that gets deflected into the back netting behind flag. So good thought there perhaps, but good stick and lane by Cassidy Szymanski.
Yeah, that's just a nice defensive play. You take away the lane, and then when it looks like a shot's about to come, you lay the lumber out there, and instead of a shot on goal now, you get a little face-off. That's just a solid defensive play.
And a discussion right now between the referees.
Yeah, curious what this might be. Pretty relatively simple call there. It's clearly deflected by Johnson & Wales. It definitely should have been an end zone draw. I would assume that's what they were discussing.
And it's not going to be delay of game for playing it out of the defensive zone or anything like that. So Drill now will chase this down. And trying to chase her down from behind is Shannon Riley is the third line on the ice right now for the Wildcats. Drill speeds out to center, starting a 3-on-2 here for the Beacons. Sacco, though, offside as Drill had that head of steam and couldn't downshift fast enough to keep the play onside.
Yep, you're exactly right. And, that's the other thing, too. Johnson & Wales should be adjusting. I would think they've addressed the same things we've highlighted here, that clearly the strategy for the Beacons today is going to be to activate the D as much as possible. You would think that the coaching staff for the Wildcats is wise to that now, and we'll have to see as this period goes on what adjustments they've made.
Oh, Jessica Salisbury in her first year as head coach for Johnson Wales after 2 years as an assistant, and also after a career here with UMass Boston, graduating in 2015.
Yeah, she was in the same class as me, and just a great hockey mind. She's a great player here for the Beacons, and now has continued on. Unfortunately, for a rival just down the road as that puck goes through the crease.
Johnson Wales not too far down the road in Rhode Island. And this will be icing perhaps here against the Wildcats, and so it is. It just goes wide of Flag's net. Stoppage coming with 3:02 gone in the second period. It's still 1-1.
And the top line here, I like this. If you're Dom Losey here, it's a 1-1 hockey game, getting one early could really do a lot for the confidence of this team. I feel like in a lot of these games they're playing from behind, trying to claw back into it. The exception, having a lead, especially at home, I think, if they could get a lead here in this second period, especially the way the first period has gone and the early on in the second period has developed, I think it would really do a lot for the confidence of this team.
Well, Johnson & Wales hasn't scored first too often this season, but they are 2-0-1 when scoring the first goal. Meanwhile, the Beacons this season winless when allowing that first goal at 0-4, and they've given up some leads as well, as we talked about, especially in that last game against the Wildcats. Now, circle-to-circle pass. Leffler will let loose. That rose high over the crossbar. And now Hernandez retrieves. Hernandez controls behind the net, banks to the blue line. Saxer just keeps it onside after a fumble at the point.
Yeah, good keep. I think that puck might have bounced the last minute. She's able to keep that in at least momentarily, get a minimal change.
Haley Boyle with a long shot. Flag looks that into her glove. And so a defensive zone faceoff upcoming here for UMass Boston. This has been a much slower second period than what we saw back in the first 20 minutes of hockey. It was back and forth, lots of offensive action. This has now kind of evolved into a chess match in a way.
Yeah, a little bit. You wonder maybe a little bit of energy and excitement to start that game, and now after a period you've kind of expended some of that early energy. If perhaps just a little bit of a lull for both these teams, next thing you know, we'll get a spark like we did in that first period on that 2-0 and be right back to that high pace, which I think is expected of these teams.
Out to center here for the Beacons. Nolan denied entry. Comes back here for Falieris, and she is onside. Falieris in a slot, and a shot that goes off the outside of the net. Falieris on her own rebound has Nolan open, instead poked away as that desperate defense from the Wildcats works out.
Yeah, nice play by Falieris there to create some opportunities. Beacons hold that puck in. They're getting a change here. Let's see if they can maintain possession.
Falieris playing her second game after missing the last 9 due to a shoulder injury. And it rolls up to the point. Drill keeps it onside. Now Drill weaves away from the defender. Shot in on Flag and tipped wide that time by Falieris, and it might have gone off the post as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was either off the post or redirected, but very close to going in. And a nice play by Drill to create that scoring opportunity. A little circle in her offensive zone there and to rifle that shot right on goal.
It looked like she wasn't going to be able to make anything happen on the backhand, but switched it over to the forehand. Now another rush here for the Beacons, and a shot and a score for Lunn. Right back in the zone, and Lunn from between the hash marks makes it 2-1, and the Beacons have their first lead of the game.
Oh, Mike, that's just a quick release is all that is. A great job by Lunn coming down that center lane drive, and she did have a couple passing options. They weren't great. She had them on the right and left, but they weren't real strong. And I really like that decision. Fire that puck, the quick release, and that's a real tough spot for a goaltender to get to. That's just over the pad, but not quite high enough where you can get a blocker on it. You've really got to be perfect on your angle to get those. And a great shot placement from Lunn gives her team a 2-1 lead.
So Lunn scoring her 5th of the season and making it 2-1 here for UMass Boston. So Lunn, who was somehow kept off the score sheet yesterday in that win, despite being +4. Now Fisher, she'll hammer one towards the net. That goes off the backboards. Colucci races over. Knocked away from her by Kaweza, and Kozik using her good speed to get back that loose puck. Kozik can't spin this back out to center ice. And then it looks like Colucci took a shot up high. We play on. Takeaway here by Kozik. She'll get off to the races. Kozik onside, waiting for someone to join her. Shot blocked down and swept away from pressure. Kozik, who has 9 points in her last 6 games, trying to get on track here in the second period with her team up 2-1.
Yeah, and you can sense it now. We talked about it. We needed some sort of break in the game, and definitely, I think, more energy by both teams. Now that we have a goal, it seems to be a little bit higher pace now.
Drill tried to do it all herself and getting that puck out to center ice. Stick and puck and player all laying down in the defensive zone here for UMass Boston. Everyone has their equipment and their feet about them once again. And a one-handed pass out to center ice. Finds Drill. Tape to tape through center ice for Hernandez. She stood up at the blue line. Still, they dig after it. And it comes harmlessly to the far wall here for the Wildcats. Now Boyle stood up at the point. Drill. Good sportsmanship, handing the stick back to Boyle after they got tangled up and disentangled ensuing.
Don't see that too often. Helping.
Definitely not in a men's game, that's for sure.
No, not at all, but helping a player with the wrong colors on. That's true sportsmanship.
And now some pressure coming here from the Wildcats. As a shot and a save there, as getting loose in the slot was Boyle. And Flagg able to make the save.
Yeah, it's a nice stop there from Flagg. But let's bring you a quick replay here, folks, and take a look. You see the passing options on the right and left, but really not great. You know, those aren't. I don't love when a forward will force a pass for the sake of forcing a pass. And I really thought that shot placement was great. Just a quick release, you know, right in a spot where it makes it very challenging for that goaltender to get it. That's a good shot there by the captain. And you mentioned +4 yesterday. Didn't even manage a secondary assist. That's hard to do. Usually you see at least something on there. Held off the score sheet yesterday and now gives her team a 2-1 lead today. So good for number 15.
Nolan, the senior here, able to spin one onside. Will look to chase it down herself. And Sacco, double team behind the net. She'll tie up her defender. And a pop straight here for Westgard. This will go all the way down. Can Colucci win the icing race? She cannot as they wave it off. Colucci, though, wins the puck battle, taking on 2 Wildcats, and now hooked down to the ice, and that'll be a penalty upcoming.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Easy there, Bree. We got the call. We got the call. Maybe she's getting called. Oh, boy. Wow. That's shocking.
Holding the stick.
Wow.
The call, so trying to draw the call, and they're going to get her for holding the stick, maybe diving too.
If I'm Dom Losey, I got to talk to the refs here, because I'll tell you what, Colucci was not the one without the. Usually these types of plays, the player who has the speed is the one who's drawing the penalty, not taking the penalty. Colucci was coming out of her own zone there with momentum, and so the hook was the one that actually stopped her from leaving. I'm surprised at that call, Mike. I thought for sure we were going to get a Beacon power play there.
Good block, though, there by the Beacons as they start up on the penalty kill. Colucci getting 2 minutes for holding the stick.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one, and so a chance here on the power play, and Flagg denies that near post.
That's a good stop there. A goaltender there, just seal that post as best you can. It's always a little awkward. Let's take a look if we can here. You know, Colucci's coming out with speed, and folks, I don't know. To call a holding the stick on a skater that's now, coming out of the zone with momentum. Seeing it different a little bit?
Did she apply the chicken wing? Perhaps, but if that's the case, the stick is still in an area where it shouldn't be. So take both players and keep it even up.
That's a fair point. Yeah, it's a fair point.
But to send Colucci off when the stick was definitely in her midsection, all by her lonesome, that may be a bit questionable, but a good penalty kill as this is pushed back towards Perry, and 45 seconds gone on the call to Colucci. The best way to answer this is to kill it off.
Exactly, and then no harm, no foul. But for me, usually when you see a holding the stick, it's a player that's out that has already been out of the play and is trying to create an advantage for themselves by holding. To have a player who has the momentum and has the advantage to take that call. We'll discuss it more in between. I like this back and forth, though.
Meanwhile, play carries on. Drill, a chance to clear. Kozik tried to exit his zone, and it comes here for Kaweza, and that shot goes high and wide.
Yeah, it didn't miss by much. Those are the types of opportunities the Beacons have to limit.
Back center blue line. Kaweza towards Flagg, and looking for the redirect was Wakefield, but Flagg has it in her glove as we're to the last 25% of this power play. And probably it's gone without mentioning, but we probably should. 15.9 conversion rate here for the power play of Johnson & Wales, which is middle pack fourth in the NEHC. The penalty kill so far has looked great here. And 2 chances against. Still 27 seconds left in that second chance. Back the point, and Flagg able to make the save after that puck pinball through some traffic. Davis down deep, and now it's Wakefield tied up. McDougall trying to get there first, unable to do so. And Flagg will just harmlessly steer this to the corner boards. Unable to get it out, though, was Fisher. But it's Saxer wasting the rest of the time here on the Wildcats man advantage. And Fisher will just backhand out the center as the Beacons back to full strength. 9:42 remaining in the second. It's 1-1. McDougal here on a turnover. In low on Parry, and she parries that away.
And a good kill. I thought the Beacons, a couple opportunities there. We'll highlight it next whistle. Flag had to come with a couple. She makes it look easy, folks, and that's one of the things I like about her style of goaltending. She's always balanced, never really looks frantic on the ice. Some of those saves were actually quite tricky.
Now Lunn off the turnover. A shot stopped there by Parry, and she will get the whistle as well. Erica Lunn has stepped up her game here in the second period. Exactly what you perhaps would expect from your senior captain.
Absolutely, and we highlighted that line, the second line here today, early on in our pregame. I thought that this line has really come along nicely with McDougal, Lunn, and Kozik, and we've seen it carry over into today. Already one goal for that line, and looking to continue.
Leffler and the top line on the ice right now for UMass Boston. Drill came down from the blue line, able to force a turnover. Now Leffler tripped up, and looks like UMass Boston will get a power play this time. And we are correct.
We were right.
We were right this time.
I was saying, let's wait just to double check. But yeah, that one was pretty obvious. Leffler with some little bit of speed there off the blue line. Pretty easy tripping call. That one's by the book. And Beacons go on a power play here, already up 2-1. And again, a great opportunity, I think, again, for a team that's not totally used to playing with a lead here to really extend on this 2-1 advantage.
Colucci with that shot that went over the crossbar. Cordomanchi off here for tripping at 11:05 of the second period. A third power play for the Beacons, looking for their first conversion. Hernandez down the goal line, back in front, well defended by Kaweza. Some quick passing, but Kaweza never vacated the front of the net. Now loose wide of the post. Sacco steers it back over to Colucci. She'll hold on this puck, looking for a lane. Down for Sacco, couldn't control cleanly. Able to regather, fumbled it away, and a fail clear there by the Wildcats as now Sacco trying to chase down Kaweza from behind, and she'll fire it off the glass and out.
Yeah, nice job by Kaweza not to panic there. I thought she might just try to fire that one down. Instead, used her feet to make sure that puck got out. Always like to see that extra effort on a penalty kill. Not taking that easy way out and just try to fire the thing down.
So with the power play halfway gone here for the Beacons. Drill on the ice. Drill trying to do it herself. That shot deflection behind the net. Second power play unit on the ice. Comes free for McDougal, and she is unable to get a shot in on net. So it's back over for Lunn. Through the crease and wide on that pass. Drill slow to that loose puck, but able to gather. Now Kozik wound up for the potential one-timer. Instead, it's back up top for Fisher. She'll fire. Parry with the save. Didn't know if she had it, but between the pads, she'll get the whistle.
Yeah, I don't think she got the cleanest of reads off that one. Seemed like she either caught it late or maybe not at all, but put herself in a position. That's really where goaltending, the technical side of goaltending, if you can just put your body into the right place, a lot of times you can get a free one there, and I think Perry might have done that. I don't think she got the cleanest read.
Now Drill in front. Puck pops up in the air. And Beacons have it once again. Hard to the point for Fisher. And Lunn with a quick redirect there for McDougal, and that just missed.
That's a nice play. I like that. I would try to run that again if you can.
6 seconds remaining in the power play. Back over to Fisher with time expiring. Fisher with a shot. Stick save made by Perry, and the Wildcats back to full strength with 6:52 left in the second. Beacons maintain their 2-1 lead. And then a stick lift there by Kozik. McDougal, unable to handle, goes right back to the waiting blade of Wakefield. It was NEHC Player of the Week to start off this season. Now loose in the slot. McDougal at the end of the power play trying to get her team a change. Still out there from the end of the man advantage.
Yeah, she's got to be tired. I think Kozik out there as well.
Kozik, though, seems like her conditioning is still has plenty of gas left in the tank. And
better
so
than ours.
That's for sure. Kozik, a little give and go, eludes Nolan initially. And Colucci will pass it down low there. Felieris. As the Beacons able to get a full change here in the offensive zone. Sacco unable to shut off of that pass, but the Beacons continue to buzz. Handed off here. Nice move. Falieris with a shot that goes wide through a screen.
Yeah, they've got the Wildcats pinned here, Mike. This has been a couple shifts now after the power play. They continue to pressure.
Sacco to the point for Colucci. Traffic in front. Nice block that time. Coming from Boyle. And this is lofted down the ice. Will this have the speed for icing? It will, and so it'll keep some tired players out there for the Wildcats.
Yeah, get down there, go. I mean, if you're the Beaks, if you're going to make a change, yeah, great. Let's get it lined up for this face-off here. You got some tired Wildcats. This is...
Do you think about timeout here if you're Coach Salisbury?
Yeah, potentially. I don't think she'll take it. Only a 2-1 deficit. Still plenty of time left in this game, but this is a huge opportunity here for the Beacons, and they win the draw.
Poked away, though, by Mason. Taken back by Leffler. Squirts free and swiped along by Saxer. Cueza trying to stick handle away from all that traffic. Does so. And chipped by Mason, not controlled, but it will not be icing, and it'll give a chance here for the Wildcats to change up after flag is forced to cover.
I said it before. I really like that Cueza, and she's tired, folks. That's a long shift after an icing. But instead of just trying to find the easiest way and just kind of dump the puck, she skates it, takes those extra strides. You dig deep, take those extra strides, and do it yourself, and gives her team an opportunity to make a change.
Ryan cycles into the corner here for Leffler. In front, and then Ryan with a shot that goes through the other side of the crease and out the other side.
Another opportunity in the front of the net for the Beacons, and continue to hold this possession of this puck on the offensive side of things. They are really driving hard here, trying to extend this lead.
What a move there by Leffler, but then lost her edge as she tried to get free in the slot. Back out the center ice. Leffler quickly transitions on side. Westgard able to swipe it away from behind initially. Drop past, no one there. The Beacons were changing up. This will come off the boards in on flag, so she's forced to touch. No icing here.
And I like that decision by her. You really try not to take those whistles unless you absolutely have to. The first one, I don't blame her. That was a rolling puck. Player was coming hard, but that one I like. You just seal it off, allow your D to try and get this thing out of your zone. You've got the momentum right now. No need to take an in-zone faceoff.
UMass Boston through the neutral zone. Kozik back out on the ice. Able to skate around Cueza, but Cueza reaches out to steal that away. And now turnover here by the Wildcats. Pass from McDougall all the way up to the blue line and out to center from Johnston and Wales.
I'll tell you what, the Wildcats to me look very tired. And they've had a couple changes now, but I think this has been a very taxing period for them. They've been defending the vast majority of this period. Have not spent a lot of time in the offensive zone. I think we're starting to see the benefits of that for the Beacons.
Well, I think the first period, it's kind of built along here for the Beacons, hasn't it? As Lunn tried to maneuver her way through a tangle of sticks, and it starts a 3-on-2 the other way here for Johnston and Wales. They're forced to change up, and so an offensive chance goes by the wayside without much work needed from UMass Boston.
Well, they 3-on-2, there's just nothing left in the tank. They're trying now here, a little bit of possession.
Now Mason with a chance, saved by Flag. The puck is still loose. Flag will get the cover. And so carrying on the point there, Matt, it's kind of built up from the first period, the 18-7 shot advantage. And yes, Mason able to strike on that one mistake, but the tiredness here in the second period that we've seen here from Johnston Wales, probably the cause and effect from the first period.
Absolutely, and you just saw the compounding factor of this time of possession for the Beacons. That was a very clear 3-on-2 for the Wildcats, but they didn't have anything left, and rather than try to force the issue, they did what they had to do to dump that puck in and get a change. And those are the little things in a hockey game that won't show up on the score sheet, but for those that watch and know the game, you recognize things like that, and that's how you end up walking out of here with 2 points.
Still a lot of hockey to be played. Still 2:42 left in this second period. As UMass Boston ahead 2-1. No icing as now Sacco trying to chase down Cueza. Puck along the boards. Back towards the front here from UMass Boston. And the failed breakout just eludes the reach of Wakefield. So Colucci circles out from behind her own net. Puck does find its way for Felieris, and it's rink wide over to Sacco. Sacco's shot nicely stifled by Davis. And then Mason with a little bit of a shove there on Mason and make that Nolan, and Nolan gives it as good as she just got. Colucci will try again. Will just punt it out the center. This will have the looking speed devising initially, but it just died before the goal line, and they waved it off.
Nice touch, like a punter, getting it to the one, downing it.
Now a turnover and a shot that just missed top corner there from Leffler.
Yeah, just missed there. We saw some daylight. We had the good angle on that one, Mike. It didn't miss by much.
Now Leffler back on side. There's the reach of Westgard, using all of that 5'10 wingspan to deny a quick transition there for the Beacons. But now a chance in front, and it never reached thanks to the good poke check that time coming from Tracy. But back towards the net again here from the Beacons. Perry's forced to make the save, and it's back to the possession of UMass Boston. Slowly to the blue line for Saxer. Pulls wide of Westgard. Saxer in front. Couldn't get the shot off. Still, she fights after it. Comes back to Saxer with 1:06 to go. And Perry has a rebound chance. Swept away, not out. Saxer, nifty moves. Saxer goes to the backhand. Unable to get it on net. Saxer almost coast to coast from blue line to goal line. But still, the offense carries on. Leffler's shot, that's blocked, and it will ricochet back out the center ice.
I was about to say, that's the one thing you don't want. Don't get your shots blocked. The Wildcats were completely pinned. I mean, they were just completely nothing left, and this is a chance here.
A chance here for the Wildcats, and a chance saved there by Flagg, keeping it a 2-1 lead.
Unreal. You know what, Mike? You talk about timely saves. That is a big stop, as big as it possibly can get for the Beacons. That's a breakaway. That one goes in. You're going to get a second life here for the Wildcats. Instead, you get a big stop from your goaltender. That's huge.
Yeah, Jane Andrill got a little bit eager, thinking that the Wildcats were in the midst of a change, tried to weave through three players.
Yeah, too much. Way too much.
Now 8 seconds left. Kozik looking to get the Beacons one last chance here before the end of the second. Fight for a loose puck. We'll see the remaining seconds tick off the clock here in the second period. And so it's Erica Lunn's 5th of the season. That's the go-ahead goal, breaking the 1-1 tie. UMass Boston ahead 2-1. And for as dominant as the Beacons were in that middle 20 minutes of hockey, you can see it does not take very much for the Wildcats to generate some great chances.
I mean, folks, just to give you a sense there, you've got about, I think it was less than 30 seconds in that period. And quite honestly, I mean, I'm curious to see. I don't know if we track time of possession, but it was heavily favoring the Beacons. They did everything right that period. And you've got a small breakaway on your goaltender who hasn't seen a ton of action yet here today. That's a taxing save. That was a great move to get that pad. That's the old, hey, let me put it back where she came from. Flag with the pad out, and just a good save there, because instead that could easily been a 2-2 game. You wouldn't fault your goaltender giving one up there, but instead you get a big stop and you maintain the 2-1 lead. But, Mike, like you said, you know, it can get a little frustrating when you're doing all that work and you're doing all the right things, and you look up at the scoreboard, we only had one there that counted. A little bit frustration perhaps with the Beacons, but if you're Dom Losey, I think you just got to continue to tell your team, we're doing all the right things. We got to continue to pound away here.
Well, the basketball team, both the men's and women's, had a successful Wednesday night as they took on Southern Maine. Men's basketball able to score a 67-42 victory over Southern Maine Wednesday night here at Clark Athletic Center. Let's take a look at the highlights from that victory.
Low-key and staying candid. Reflect on all the things I try my hand at. Search for the equation to persuasions I'm used to. Finding comfort in the zones of closet bones I get loose to. I'm out in this Fontaine, spinning in monsoon and grinning this high octane. Explosive how I came, rolling down the hills cause life's a hassle. Encircled by my folly like a moat surround the castle. Stay afloat, catch a second wind, thin is the air I breathe. Teary-eyed nose running, wipe the snot on my sleeve. I'm calling on the Savior to be all that I need. Please forgive me my
highs and lows, paths and roads I chose in the cold I froze, trying to ease my woes in this world of sin, close too thin to fit, so the God I sin, words of help to win, and grow can never express, so the sounds of ooh-ah beneath my breath will chest.
Times like these that make me say, Lord, if you see me, please come my way. Leaving breadcrumbs for a ride straight. A long sacrifice and the price you pay. Living like a fingertip. Sometimes I fall, I slip. My heart feels I need more like you. Try not to put the fire with the things I do. My life be like ooh-ah-ooh, dumb ditty. Here come that boy from the cap.
Mike O'Brien and Matt Meisenbacher here.
Nailed it.
Thank you. I think that's two straight. We'll see how it goes for the rest of this game. As we take a look at the second period stats, UMass Boston leading Johnson & Wales 2-1, and also pretty much a 2-1 shot advantage, 28-16 for UMass Boston. And I think we could have predicted that from what we saw in the action in that second.
After a fairly even first period, I thought Beacons really did a lot to extend themselves. It's surprising it's still 2-1. You take a look at the shots on goal. I mean, 28 shots is usually what you typically see after a final score, not necessarily after two periods. So doing a great job getting shots on goal, but have only been able to get past Perry. I thought for a goaltender that doesn't have a ton of experience, she's really held her own here today and has come away with some big saves. I thought a few times there where the Beacons really had, we were talking about it, really had Johnson & Wales pinned. I mean, they were completely flat, nothing left, no gas left in the tank, and for whatever reason, the Beacons just couldn't capitalize. But you take a look at the second period statistics here, and boy, oh boy, I mean, everything in the favor of the Beacons except the one that matters most. Only a slight advantage on the scoreboard, 2-1.
Would have liked to see them maybe add one late in the period, but we'll see how the final 20 minutes of regulation transpires when they take the ice in a little bit here. But let's take a look around Beaconville, as plenty of other action here for UMass Boston as women's basketball has come back to tie things up now at halftime against Keene State, 29-29. In about an hour and 45 minutes, it'll be the men's side against Johnson & Wales. And in the other half of that doubleheader up at Keene State, men's basketball tips off at 3 p.m. So just 47 minutes there. And indoor track and field opening up their season at Emmanuel College here today. So we talked about the men's basketball team scoring that big victory over Southern Maine. Well, so did the women's basketball team. A little bit less of a margin, but a victory nevertheless. 77-65, the Beacons win as they tie their program record, starting up 6-0 in their LAC opener. So let's take a look around the NEHC. Norwich extending their lead over Southern Maine 4-0, and Calston still ahead of New England College 1-0. Both games at the end of the second period. And shortly we'll see Plymouth State and Wesleyan University, and later on this afternoon, Salem State and Suffolk. And that is your around the NEHC scoreboard. Let's take a look ahead here for the women's team. And second time we're taking a look at that schedule. And again, opportunity for the Beacons right before the break with Nichols College and Salem State on the schedule. And then you start up 2020 with another game against Nichols College. And again, trying to get over that hump, and 2 winnable games before the break, and I guess a well-deserved break here for the student athletes on the UMass Boston squad. What do you do with that long break between games? Because essentially it's count about 18, so basically 3 weeks between games.
You know, it can be a blessing and a curse. There were a few seasons there where on the men's team we were really banged up. We had health issues, our top guys, and that break allows a lot of them to come back. You know, and you enter that second half with guys you didn't have in the first. So that's the blessing. The curse, and we had this as well. We had one season we were undefeated. We ran the table in the first half, and then unfortunately you hit the break, and guess what happens? First 2 games you came back, you dropped 2. So it really kind of depends where you're at. I think depending on, from a player perspective, depending on where you are, what your health is, you really, most times I found myself trying to find ice, because you've got a lot of other college players in similar positions, and you can't just take the full break. You've got to find ways to stay on the ice. But it is interesting, and it's something that's unique to the Division III level. It really depends on kind of where you're at and mostly where your health is.
Well, right now, mostly healthy are the Beacons, and where they're at is with a 2-1 lead over the Wildcats. After 2 periods of play, let's take a look at some of the highlights here from the second period, because it was dominance for UMass Boston. Johnston Wales able to counterpunch accordingly in what was a pretty dominant, or at least a second period there. UMass Boston had the advantage, but again, in the early going, Flag had to make some saves.
Yeah, and again, early on, you take a look right out of the gate here. I thought both teams, we talked about how in the beginning of that period it seemed a little bit slow. It seemed like both teams, as that's the Lunn goal right there. Up until that point, it was a little bit slow. The pace had tailed off, but Lunn with just some great placement there. Really liked the way she released that puck as quickly as she did. This is that penalty we discussed, and I got a second look. I do agree with you. Perhaps a little bit of a trap there. Referee saw it more on your side of things and called Colucci for the penalty. Johnson & Wales was not able to score, and I think that was really the only opportunity for the most part that they had up until the very end of that second period. And you're just going to see, folks, I mean, this is just all UMass Boston highlights for the majority of this period. You can see they continue to drive to the front of the net, in most cases at least 2 people in front. And really, I thought had some opportunities to score. This one opportunity here for Johnson & Wales, really not too much of anything. But UMass Boston, again, a shot there. We don't know. Perhaps that rang off the pipe. But here's the save late in the period. And, folks, I thought that this is just a tremendous save. Katie Flagg, she's great. Her balance is fantastic in the net. But one of the things I think that's significantly underrated, her footwork. You saw there just going one way and the ability to change your momentum and use your leg that you pushed off on to make that save, kick it out the other side. That was a great stop.
Holding it to a 2-1 lead for UMass Boston late in the period. We'll step aside when we return the third period of play on beaconsathletics.com.
Psychology is about understanding the individual and understanding the mind. The main reason why I want to combine psychology and business degrees is because I want to understand the business decisions that are made. I'm Nurçin Çelebi. I'm from Turkey originally. I'm a senior at the 5-year BA to MBA program at UMass Boston. I think in management, the biggest mistake you can make is to not listen. So I want to be able to step into a company and say, here's what you're doing now, and here's how you can improve it. I moved here when I was 16 for high school. Moving from Turkey, it was a rough journey for me because when you don't really speak the language that well and when you don't really fit in the crowd, it's very easy to disappear. But I decided not to give up, and UMass helped me. I wanted to be able to improve myself. I wanted to be able to try new things, and I think UMass gave me a really good head start on that.
Hello and welcome back here at Barry Ice Rink. Mike O'Brien along with Matt Meisenbacher. 2-1 The score in favor of UMass Boston. 20 minutes of regulation still to go. And Matt, you and I talked about it, the effects of the time of possession, the offensive zone time spent by UMass Boston. How will it affect the Wildcats here for the third period?
I'm curious to see, Mike. I really am, because I thought, and we knew this, we mentioned this in the pregame and in the first period, that both these teams don't have full rosters. Johnson and Wales only with 4 defense, and I thought, going into the third period, that was going to be an issue regardless. Now you look back at the way the second period transpired. Put it this way: I hope they had their the old soccer orange peels in there, trying to get some energy back, because they're going to be up against it. And I wouldn't be surprised if Dom Losey goes full aggression here, try to extend that lead early on.
And limiting those mistakes and limiting any trips to the penalty box going to be key here for the Beacons, as the third period starts off with a face-off win by Erica Lunn. And it's across for Drill. Try to one-hand along, controlled now by Westgard, and the Wildcats are onside. Nice shoulder fake there. Puck still loose. Pops over to Kozik, and Westgard will lean in on her, but Kozik just plays away from danger. Drill had some good up-ice rushes through center ice yesterday against New England College. She has not had the same success against the neutral zone trap of Johnston Wales here this afternoon.
Yeah, I agree. We saw some of that in the first period, not as much in the second, but I still think she's found ways to positively impact this game. I know she had the one turnover we highlighted, but for the most part, I really think her and Colucci, Drill and Colucci, have had a really nice game here today.
And Drill able to tie things up back in the first period with her first goal of the season as well. Lunn banks it off the wall. Heads to the bench for a change. As now Colucci from the right hash mark. A rising shot that's trapped along the side by Perry.
Yeah, you can see the reaction from Colucci. I think she wanted that just slightly more towards the corner there on the glove side. She hit the chest protector, and I wouldn't say that's an easy stop for Perry. Still got to get a good read on it, but you can tell by the reaction of 2-4 there. She wanted that just a little bit more towards the right than she got.
Colucci looking for a second goal of the season. Now Leffler taken down from behind. And the puck will find Colucci again. She tiptoes along. Shot blocked. And it's Mason racing up ice here for Johnson and Wales. Well, fired wide of flag. Fisher looks over her shoulder and attempts to rim it up here for Leffler. Just out the center ice will come. Hernandez looking to lead it along for Ryan. Instead, regrouping at center are the Wildcats. That's lifted into the Beacons bench, and everyone is okay.
It's a nice play on our wall, not so much on the bench side. Good thing everyone paying attention there. I'm sure you've seen that. I've seen coaches take those. If they're telling somebody something that goes right out the noggin.
We just saw the linesman get hit with a sniper shot, just blew an edge.
He's up in the stands. Oh, yeah, but I've seen that. I mean, simple play like that, you got a coach telling somebody not paying attention right out the noggin. You got to go see the trainer. Always an embarrassing issue. You do see it from time to time. There it is.
There it goes. Yeah. Well, Annie Rice, assistant coach, she's been quick on her feet on the bench, and the players are wearing protective equipment. You like to think they'll be okay.
And
Rice is going to now head down to the other side of the bench. Enough of this.
I'm going out here. Yeah, you would think as long as your playing time's right, though, right? Imagine if a player's not seeing too many minutes, she might not try to deflect that puck, let it get fired.
I have a story about that. We'll get to at the next stoppage of play as Drill fires us all the way down. This will be icing. It will be. So back during my Wilkes-Barre-Scranton Penguins days preseason game, and player Nick Peterson was just taking off his helmet to wipe his visor off, and defenseman is firing it out of the zone and goes right in the bench and catches him flush on the I mean, it wasn't so hard. He was fine, but it caught him flush on the side, and his face just blew up. And the next day, team picture day. and his cheek is out to here.
Right. Balloon coming out of the side.
Balloon coming out of the side, and a black eye to go with it as well, and that will forever be immortalized, I think, in the 2012 Wilkes-Barre-Scranton Penguins team picture.
That's fantastic. Looking like a Hanson brother for the team photo. That's
and it was only
tremendous.
funny because he was okay, but still.
Right. Yeah.
Drill in behind the net now for the Beacons. And it looks like we're going to have a penalty upcoming on the Beacons. And, well, Jane Ann Drill called for roughing, so didn't like the contact and fired fired back perhaps. It's never the initial call. It's always kind of the retaliatory action that gets the whistle.
I was about to say, and judging by Drill's reaction, she knew it too. And that's one of those things you just let a little bit too much emotion get loose, and she knew as soon as that she made contact there that was going to get called. Tremendous opportunity. Now, Johnson and Wales has been very limited in their scoring opportunities throughout this game. Here you have a fairly decent power play at that, a chance to tie this thing up.
Face-off won, but kept inside the zone there by Wakefield. And the Wildcats power play will look to set up. Taylor Davis, the quarterback. Mason, though, leads it from the half wall as Davis and Mason play a little pitch and catch at the blue line. Big battle down low. Wakefield getting the worst of that as Colucci using her physicality and a shot up high on flag. Save is made and retrieved here by Wakefield for the Wildcats.
Beacon's a little bit too passive here, Mike. Would like to see a little bit more aggression. They're giving away a lot of ice on this power play.
And so in behind the net now for Mason. To the sidewall. That misses Wakefield, but Kozik not able to get over in time to clear the zone. Now down deep out of the corner. Mason's pass missed. Wakefield out to the neutral zone will come. We'll see if the penalty kill unit starts to change up.
I'm a little bit surprised they're not. We got to get this puck a little bit deeper.
Now Colucci up the wall. Kozik will stop the momentum for the time being, and then a turnover at center ice. Lunn lays it down, gets to the midway point of the penalty kill, and now the second unit will come over the boards. In some levels, you see quick shifts there on the PK, 30 seconds as they rotate units. It seemed like UMass Boston was really trying to get to that minute point of the man disadvantage before changing up.
I agree with you. I thought they had a chance to change there, but continue to wait. Is that puck?
And a tough shot there. Flag able to hold the post. It looked like she was not going to be able to get across in time, but she makes the stop there on the great chance from Hannah Tracy.
That's about as close as it gets, too. She was just a little late getting over there on the push, but again, that great skating was able to push over to that post and hug with the pad is a failed clear there from the Beacons. This is coming right back down.
Kaweza using all of her 5'5" height to keep that onside. Now she controls at the blue line. And a tip there from Russell goes off the back glass. And then a turnover here by Russell, hammered down the ice. There by Grace Fisher.
And a nice play there. Leffler recognizing only a few seconds left, perhaps a little earlier in the penalty kill. You remain a little bit not as aggressive. You allow the puck carry out a little bit more than she did, but she attacks and kills off the remainder of that power play.
Power play over, and the Beacons back to full strength, leading 2-1 with 5 minutes played here in the third. And now Lunn looking for her second of the game. Lunn with a shot that just misses. She tried to go low and catch Perry napping, but now it starts to transition the other way here for the Wildcats. Into the zone is Tracy. Drop pass, no one there. And now spun back up the way for McDougal. McDougal lost her edge. Lunn, though, there to help out her line mates. And Lunn will take a little pick from McDougal. Kozik cycles back behind the net for McDougal. Too hard for her. And coming over to retrieve is Irvine. Fishing this one out to center ice. Backhanded in by the Wildcats. Breakout pass right there was Wakefield off the bench to intercept. Wakefield trying to take advantage. And it comes free. Irvine with a shot and a save there by Flag. And then a big collision on the far side. Wakefield knocked to the ice. Beacon scrambling in their own end. And it's Wakefield back to her feet. Kozik handing it over to Drill and back over to Kozik.
Nice breakout pass.
Kozik just onside with McDougal. McDougal will put one behind the net. Mason comes down low to gather up here for the Wildcats. And Drill will lay it back in on a delayed offside. Everyone touches up and changes up. 13:54 still left in regulation. 2-1 for the Beacons as Mason will also head off.
Yeah, Beacons can use a shift here. It's been a couple times now where Johnson and Wales has been getting some sneaky chances. And I thought that last opportunity, Flag did a great job coming out, being aggressive on that shooter. Again, in that slot. Here come the Beacons, however.
Now Leffler in front. Shot and a save there by Perry, robbing Hernandez on the 2-on-1 chance. Offense carries on. Colucci's shot through a screen and wide.
Tremendous save. That's a tremendous save by Perry. Her best of the day.
As Leffler working the half wall, guides to the point. Now right side for Colucci. She winds and fires. Easy block there by Tracy. And 2-on-2 now through centers. Tracy left the puck behind for a brief moment as she pulls wide of Colucci. Flag will steer that puck away. Unable to clear the zone is UMass Boston. And now a loose puck. Picked up by Leffler. She'll wind her way through center. Muscles her way by Kaweza, and Leffler still has it as a line change completed by UMass Boston. Drill around the net, looking for the stuff shot, backhand shot, save made, still loose at top of the crease. 3 great chances, back to Drill it comes. And then a shot towards Perry. That is stopped in front. Now jabbed at, poked at, still no signal from the referee. And it looks like Perry has denied them all.
Would love to take another look at this one. I'm fairly convinced this puck went over the goal line. And I hope the referees talk about it. I don't know, from this angle, and I don't know if we're going to have a good enough angle, but
it looked like
close.
There was a tangle of people in front, just a jumbled mess atop and in the crease of Claire Perry. From our angle, we could see it.
I thought for sure
we could see it between her pads, but whether it was across the goal line or not. But in the meantime, penalty called there.
Yeah. And it's
going to be Haley Quartermanchi heading off. It looked like it was roughing the call. And so a power play once again here for UMass Boston. They have looked great in terms of chances, have not been able to convert on the man advantage, though.
That's exactly right. And you mentioned the point. Take a look here, folks. And again, you're just not going to get a good enough angle. But there was a moment there where I thought, and the referee is right there, so he's got the right angle on it. You mentioned that might have been a situation where the puck was across but not completely. And obviously it's got to go completely across the goal line. Now, interesting here that this faceoff is going to come out to the neutral zone. We do have a penalty, which obviously should be in the Wildcat zone. I'm curious, not quite sure why this is moving to the neutral zone. We'll see. I'll judge based on Tom Lowe's reaction as to if this is an egregious call or within the rule book. And she seems all right with it, so whatever triggered, something happened there, but face off out into the neutral zone rather than in the zone.
So right outside the Wildcats blue line, and one back, but forced to chase it down in their own end is the Beacons. Kelsey Ryan. So tripping the call. So if tripping the call, my question is, are they faulting a Beacons player for the net coming off its pegs? Did Perry ever have the possession? I thought the whistle was the goalie had it, but if net came off its pegs due to a push there from UMass Boston, that would draw the whistle on the face-off out to center ice.
Great point, and my guess that would be the only thing I think that would supersede the penalty, which would be now, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, in NHL, the penalty supersedes all. You take a penalty, it's going to be in zone. But either way, oh my God, almost another. That could have been called. I thought for sure we'd see another trip there, but either way, Beacons on a power play here. Only a minute left.
Yeah, the zone entries have been trouble for UMass Boston on the power play. But once in zone, they've looked pretty good. Puck goes off the stick of Szymanski and wide of the net. And so back over to Leffler. Very deliberate power play right now for the Beacons. It has 49 seconds remaining. Long shot. That bounced off the by Szymanski. And now pressuring Kozik. Szymanski, great defense there to block the shot and then clear the zone all by her lonesome.
Yeah, her and Kaweza have really done a fantastic job today. They've logged a ton of minutes. Turnover.
Now Kozik with a weak backhander to just be covered up by Perry, taking no chances at this point of the game. 30 seconds left on the power play, 11 minutes, 10:59 to be exact, left in regulation. Still 2-1 for the Beacons.
And see what Dom Lozzi wants to do here. With 30 seconds left, you really haven't done much on this power play. And a lost draw, you're only up 2-1 here.
But they can't clear as Drill. Pass intended for Kozik. She'll pick it up off the corner boards. And it's up top here for Fisher. Over to Drill. One-timer. Deflects in on Perry. Save is made. And a quick whistle there from the referee.
And that's got to be off, I would think. The puck was pretty obviously loose there.
Yeah, I think he lost sight of it. Thought that Perry had it. The ref on one side of the net, the puck on the other.
Yeah, but another great play. Drill getting that puck through. That rebound again right there. Beacons win the draw.
As Fisher. Now to Drill. Won the wind-up for the one-timer, passing to her skates. And so Drill able to get loose. Low shot comes in on Perry. And she'll quickly cover. Just 2 ticks of the clock left in the call on Court of Manchi. She's on her feet itching to get out of the box.
And the Beacons have to be careful here. On a lost draw, you've got to think that she's going to be flying out of that box. We saw that earlier in this hockey game. So you got to recognize here, if you do lose this draw, you've got to get back in a hurry. Watch this box here. She's going for a change.
She's heading for a change coming out here, Caitlin Irvine. But if you're Katie Flagg down between the pipes, you got to be banging your stick, letting them know.
Absolutely.
So power play over. The Beacons now 0 for 4 today. They still are ahead 2-1. Approaching the midway point of the third period. It's been 4 straight wins in the all-time series for Johnson and Wales. The Beacons trying to end that streak. And so Lunn off the boards to herself. Line change time for UMass Boston. And guided over for Caitlin Irvine, the junior. Wrist shot. That goes awkwardly off a flag, and Irvine gets her own rebound. And a battle for the loose puck behind the net. Mason. And looks like, do we have a net off its pegs? That is the case.
And I think no change for the Beacons here because it was Flagg who knocked it off. 9:34, so you take a look. It's a 2-1 hockey game here, and I think, quick synopsis, UMass Boston has done well, but we've seen a little bit of regression here in the third period. Not as aggressive and not generating as many opportunities as they have previously, and I thought Johnson Wales has done a good job kind of hanging around in this hockey game. I've seen teams do this and walk out with a surprising W, so we're in for quite a run here, folks.
We thought maybe the tank was empty here for Johnson Wales back in the second period. They seem to have been able to tap into the reserves here midway through the third period. That's a turnover cause. A wraparound shot never came there for UMass Boston. Now Colucci with a drive that goes off the back glass.
That was heavy. That was a heavy 1-T there.
Colucci again, now with a slower wrist shot. That just misses. In behind for Hernandez. Leffler waits and holds. Trying to find Colucci back door. That was partially deflected. Now Colucci with a spinning shot. That will rim all the way back out to center ice.
And I really like that. It's been there all day. Johnson & Wales has chosen not to attack that blue line, and you've seen Drill and Colucci primarily take advantage of that all day. If I'm UMass Boston, I would continue to leverage that, take what they give you.
Very aggressive forecheck here by UMass Boston, and a nice breakout by Johnson & Wales. Mason with Wakefield trailing her on the play. Shot nullified, still loose, and that put just wide. Boyle following that up and sending it just wide in the near post. So the counter-punch ability there for Johnson & Wales on full display. Big check by Saxer, and that will draw the arm up from the referee, and a power play upcoming for UMass Boston.
Yeah, unfortunately, in the men's game, probably a very
great play.
And unfortunately for the women's side, no checking allowed. That's going to get called. That one was pretty evident. And so a Johnson & Wales team, that's a tough penalty to take. With 8:15 left, now you really put it on your penalty kill here. Johnson & Wales feeling a little bit more confident.
Time of the call, 11:45 of the third. Saxer off for checking. And now that was intercepted by Fisher as Tracy was looking towards the front of the net for that pass. And so the penalty kill that has been largely very effective today for UMass Boston needs another kill to key time here in the third period. And so, centering pass nicely tied up in front with Szymanski. Szymanski, defenseman, plays at top of the net. She has 5 career goals. All of them have come on the man advantage. Westgard, half wall now. And a great shot block by Colucci.
Get there.
As Kozik, a little slow to get to that puck. Westgard ties her up. That allows Russell to come on over and now field it back over. Russell trying to catch Flagg napping on that wrist shot. As it caroms back to the point. All the way across now for Russell. 57 seconds left in the call. Shot in on Flagg. Blocked down. Bounces free. Controlled now by Cueza. Cueza, right side. In on Flagg again, and again Szymanski takes a check for her troubles.
Beacon's bending but not breaking here. They've done a good job allowing some shots but not allowing shots through.
Beacons have not been able to get a clear, but flag will get a stoppage as Colucci and Szymanski both down in a pile in front of the netminder, Katie Flagg.
And that's huge from your goaltender there. You know, you needed a whistle. You recognize the play. You've got some tired penalty killers out there. If you fumble that one even just a little bit, you're forcing your D to have to swat it away. You probably got to kill off another at least 10, 15 seconds. Instead, Flagg does a nice job to hold on and get that whistle.
28 seconds still to go on the call to Saxer. Davis for Mason. Little give and go. Well read by Leffler. And then Leffler will get it down the ice. Comes free here for Ryan. Can she pull away? Ryan with a shot saved by Perry.
Huge save. And we've talked about timely saves. That's a goaltender keeping her team in it. She's played fantastic today.
Now Leffler in the high slot. Still possesses as she spins this wide of Perry as the Beacons get back to full strength. Another successful kill at a key moment in this game. 6:08 to go. It is still 2-1 for UMass Boston. Puck off the referee behind the net. As they try and bang it free, they do. Hernandez looking to take advantage. That deflected off. Perry just laid there for a moment. And the puck is pried free by the Wildcats. Time step up there by Hernandez. Now fluttered out to the neutral zone off the linesman. So the officials having a rough time over the last couple passes.
Involved a little bit on this shift.
Turnover at center ice, and the Beacons will start to go for a change as racing onside Cueza. And the slot for Russell. And a diving block by Colucci. Kozik looking to pull wide of Szymanski. And Szymanski just stays with her stride for stride and bodies her off the puck.
Yeah, impressive by Szymanski there, especially at this point in the game. Kozik, one of the faster Beacons on this club, and Szymanski went stride for stride, ended up stripping the puck away from her.
Now Shannon Riley. Weak shot that goes wide of Flagg. We're less than 5 minutes remaining in the third period. Russell trying to protect that puck between her skates. Jostled free as Russell sent to the ice again. And Corin Russell just not making her presence felt here in this game like they did in the first meeting where she had the hat trick and the game-winning goal. Now a draw pass and a shot from Kozik, patted away by Perry.
Another good save. That's a tough shot there right in the slot. And Perry, boy, she's really been facing a lot of rubber here today, but she has been up to the task. I don't know. I can't fault her on either goal, and I thought she's done a great job holding down the fort to allow her team in this hockey game.
Now Kehoe with a shot that goes just wide of the far post. Bit of collision there between Drill and Nolan. So some teammate-on-teammate crime right there. Nice forecheck there from Kehoe as Felieris trying to dig it around from behind. Instead, still loose at center. And Saxer will lob it in the zone, ties up her defender. And it's Saxer, the defender. Deep in the O zone, Drill will lay it back down deep as Saxer retreats back to her defensive position. And the Beacons start to change up. Drill remains out there along now with Buddington and Ryan. Buddington fresh off the bench. And good breakout for Ryan. Too far, though, on that lead pass. Back to Drill, looking for a change as well. All of a sudden, 3:30 remaining in regulation.
Yeah, and you're going to get one final push here from Johnson and Wales. I don't think they're just going to cave in and allow themselves to lose this game in this fashion. They've battled hard to get to this point to keep it close. I would expect one final push, one final wave from this team.
Johnson and Wales allowing just over 37 shots per game. They have leaned heavily on their netminers this season, especially when Jasmine Mucci was in between the pipes for the first 9 games of the season, and that has not changed here. Now maybe a little 2-on-1 here for the Wildcats, but getting back to make the play was Leffler.
Yeah, it's a mini 2-on-1, and just couldn't connect on the pass. They had a little bit of an opportunity to get a shot there. It wasn't anything great, but at this stage of the game, I think you've just got to find ways to get pucks on net. Can't try to be too pretty with it.
As that puck goes out of play. So, again, a lot of shots allowed here season long by Johnson and Wales. Somewhat of an easy time last night, just 29 faced by Claire Perry. She made 28 saves in a 2-1 win. She's had a heavier workload, to say the least, here this afternoon.
She's been fantastic, and one of the main reasons that the Wildcats are in this hockey game. Still 2 minutes left to play. Still a chance to tie this thing up, but pretty soon, I think, within the next minute or so, you're going to have to think about pulling her. Got to get that extra attacker out there.
Now a drop pass here for Lunn. Quick give and go with Kozik. Never reached the net. And now Wakefield trying to handle things herself. Wakefield with a shot. The flag will push to the corner. Back in behind the net for Wakefield. Pulled free. Nice pass to break Kozik up ice. And Kozik will try and go 1-on-3. Pulls wide. Will chase down the puck as her teammates change up behind her. Back to the point for Fisher. Fisher been handcuffed by that one and played it off the forward Tracy. And now Tracy trying to sneak behind the defense. Tracy and Russell. Russell will flip on in. Fisher slow to that loose puck, but will smartly play it around now for Saxer. Saxer providing a veteran presence here on the back line late in the third period.
And a nice play there. One extra move to get that puck out of her zone, and this is going to be interesting here. They're really going to want to take Perry soon. They're running very low on time, but can't do it while you have to defend.
So Jessica Salisbury with that puck. Only getting as far as the red line. The head coach for Johnston Wales searching for an opportunity to get Perry off the ice for the extra attacker. None has presented itself thus far.
Yeah, no option. And
now a turnover here. Lunn will fire towards Perry with another great save to keep the deficit at just 1.
Another glove save. I mean, boy, oh boy. Tough spot here because now you got an in-zone draw. You almost, I think if you're Salisbury, you've got to think if we win this, we got to take her on the breakout. You can't wait to have possession in the offensive zone at this point. Less than a minute. I think you got to take her right here, right now.
And so now she goes as streaking through center are the Wildcats. 3-on-2 rush and a puck that gets deflected out of play as Kaweza, the defenseman,
this is a huge
looking
draw.
for a lane.
I think we're going to see a timeout. I wouldn't be surprised. I could see either side taking one here. You want to make sure you're lined up properly. Let's see. Teams lining up. I haven't seen either team take it yet.
Yeah,
surprising.
47 seconds remaining. No timeout taken here by Johnston Wales. An empty net extra attacker. Leffler will spin it towards the empty net. Just misses, and this will be icing as having a step or two on that race to loose puck was Cassidy Szymanski.
I think that's why you take your timeout. You just really want to be sure, okay, what are we doing on a win? What are we doing on a loss? Let's see, another opportunity to take it. He's going to hold. I'm surprised. Salisbury sticking with her guns.
Only 8 seconds off the clock on that last sequence. Faceoff was initially won there by the Wildcats. Now chance clear for Ryan. Just trickles it out to center ice. And then Leffler hard on the forecheck, but now a rush up the other way. Kaweza banks it onside. 22 seconds remaining. 2-1. The Beacons on top. Trying to erase some tough history in this head-to-head matchup as it's back out the neutral zone. Quick blue line to blue line. Lunn intercepts. Can't get a shot off. Leffler now has it. Looks towards the empty net, but taken away from behind. Will time waste away here on the Wildcats. Long shot, doesn't reach flag, goes off the back wall, and that will do it as the horn sounds. And the Beacons make it 2 in a row in their first win over Johnston and Wales since January 13th, 2017. 2-1 the final, and the Beacons raise their record to 5-6 5-6-1 on the season and make it a 4-point weekend here at Barry Rink.
Yeah, that's a nice win for the Beacons here at home. That's a hard-fought 2 points. You know, we knew this game was going to be close and true to form. We talked about how many of these games have been one-goal games. Here is another one added to the list. But I thought, both of these teams came in here, and I could have seen this gone either way. I mean, there in that third period did create some opportunities more so than we had seen early on in the game. I thought this was a very even hockey game, and the Beacons just did enough to get the 2 points.
Doing just enough to get the 2 points, and so just a game short of 500 as we see the scoring breakdown. Erica Lunn's goal in the second period ends up being the game winner in the 2-1 final. Also getting a tally, Jane Ann Drill with her first of the season. So we will take a break here. When we return, we'll go through the final stats. We'll have your 3 stars of the game, and we'll look ahead all when we come back on beaconsathletics.com.
Imagine yourself at one of fewer than 300 prestigious research universities in the country, located on a peninsula overlooking the Boston Harbor, just minutes from downtown Boston. Imagine what it would be like to be a student here.
I imagine myself succeeding in the business world.
I imagine taking advantage of all the clinical opportunities in Boston.
Want to go into the police force for a little bit and ultimately end up either working for the Department of Homeland Security or the Department of ICE.
I imagine studying biology, working hand in hand with the professor.
There are many reasons students are attracted to UMass Boston. Just imagine the opportunity to participate in research, live and learn in Boston, and to experience true diversity.
Our researchers have expanded the research enterprise admirably over the last decade. They have engaged in important environmental stewardship. They are at the frontiers of the life sciences and public health.
Being in Boston is a huge advantage, not just to someone like me who's a researcher, but actually to our students.
I started working for Dr. McCoska since my sophomore year, my ending sophomore year, and now I'm going to my senior year, so it's been a very nice journey.
School for the Environment is becoming really one of the premier, or if not the premier, coastal environmental sciences programs in the country. The natural laboratory is 5 minutes away for us. The undergraduates and the graduate students can jump on the T or walk out the door or drive 5 minutes and grab sediment samples and vegetation and talk to watershed associations. It's really a wonderful opportunity for our students here with this location.
UMass Boston shares the peninsula with the Edward M. Kennedy Institute for the United States Senate and the John F. Kennedy Library and Museum. Just imagine an internship with one of these organizations or a Fortune 500 company.
There's no location like UMass Boston.
It's so close to the Innovation District, the 4-Point Channel. You can just hop on the Red Line and get there.
I like the fact that Boston is near the water.
I was a legislative intern for Senator Elizabeth Warren in Washington, D.C. And I was there, in the Senate. It made me feel good about myself. It made me feel like I could do so much more. There's so much more out there and ahead of me.
After my internship at Ernst & Young this past summer, I was offered a full-time position to join their risk advisory practice, where I'll be doing part-time security consulting and part-time risk advisory consulting. And I never would have had this opportunity had it not been for UMass Boston.
Imagine what it will be like to interact with students from 150 countries.
You meet people from everywhere. That's the best thing about the school.
Here there's a lot of international students, so it's really cool to meet people from different countries, different parts of the world.
We also have students here at UMass Boston who come to us from Texas, from Alabama, from Georgia, from California. And I often ask them, what brings you here? And it's always Boston. And then when they come here, they realize UMass Boston.
I decided to come to UMass Boston from the West Coast because, look at it. We've got the ocean, it's beautiful. I'm getting a really great education at great value. I couldn't be happier to be here.
This is what the world looks like. It's here at UMass Boston.
And now, imagine doing all of this at a campus that is buzzing with more than 100 clubs and organizations, 18 NCAA athletic teams, and concerts and films galore. Whether you're interested in studying abroad or doing service work over alternative spring break, we have something for everyone.
Starting my first semester here, I was assistant coordinator of Casa Latina. Second semester, I was promoted to coordinate my own center, the Student Wellness Center.
Being on the track and field team here is the greatest decisions I've made besides coming to UMass Boston.
Happy locker room for the second day in a row for the women's hockey team, the Beacons, edging Johnson & Wales 2-1 as Erica Lunn gets the game-winning goal. But let's go through the final stats because it was a hard-fought game, one that was surprisingly dominated by UMass Boston despite the very close score here between the two teams.
Yeah, and the difference being was the goaltender Perry. I really thought that the Beacons were going to break things open. It just felt like the way the game was going, they were going to find a way to put a couple more and potentially win this game by more than just a goal margin. But really, Perry didn't really give them much. Like we said at the end of the third there, I thought the goals that beat her were hard-fought goals. The Lunn shot was just great puck placement. And the first goal was off a rebound. Yeah, did she put in the slot? Fine, but I thought she played very, very well. And that's a hard-fought win for a Beacons team that, like we talked about, could really use one like that. That's one you can really go home tonight and feel proud. You fought hard for the 2 points. I thought they did a lot of things right. Loved how aggressive their defense got in the offensive zone. We haven't seen a ton of that this year. Really liked that adjustment by Dom Losey. And I thought in that locker room right now, boy, they've got to feel pretty good about getting 2 points here.
Indeed, they do. They raised their record now to 5-6-1 this season. And so for UMass Boston, back-to-back wins here on home ice. Their first 2 wins here at Barry Rink this season. They put an end to that 4-game losing streak to Johnson & Wales, and just some of those losses have been so tough for the Beacons. So mentally, not only is it a good win in the standings in terms of the conference play and getting those points, but mentally for this team, that has to be a big burden lifted off their shoulders.
Players are well aware of how they match up to their opponents. I mean, especially in at this level, you don't have a ton of variety when it comes to your opponents, and so I'm pretty sure they knew coming into this game, what Johnson and Wales had done to them in recent memory. You mentioned, the first win since 2017 for. Some of these upperclassmen, they haven't had a win against this team in years. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think that this team really will look back on this, maybe a potential turning point for this team. We mentioned how valuable this game was. You've got 2 games against Nichols now, which, again, a fairly decent matchup that they can maybe produce a couple wins here to end 2019 and go into 2020 with their heads up high.
Well, if the score stays, and it looks like it will in terms of Norwich and Southern Maine, Norwich is going to go 7-0 in conference play. Southern Maine was tied point-wise with UMass Boston coming into this game, 6 points each. Now the win will put UMass Boston up to 8 points, where they are now in a tie point-wise with Johnson & Wales, 4-2, UMass Boston 4-4. So obviously the Wildcats have some games in hand, but just to be able to start to inch up those standings a little bit, maybe improve your seeding once the tournament comes around, the postseason comes around. So, again, an important win. You have to beat New England College. You have to. But this puts the cherry on top of the proverbial sundae, if you will.
Absolutely. You beat a team. You look at the standings like you just talked about, Norwich in a little bit of a class of their own. I mean, you take a look at what they're able to do. But, yeah, I think the goal at this point is probably to avoid having to play them until you absolutely have to. So you take a look at a number 5 in the standing, the NEHC standings. Number 5, UMass Boston, taking 2 points from a number 3, Johnson & Wales. It's wins like that that'll propel you into maybe potentially that 2 or 3 spot. Gives you a really nice seeding, potentially playing at least at 1, maybe 2 home games. So we're looking a little bit too far down the road right now, but that is in the back of your head.
We're not even in the 2020, but the points gained now
absolutely
will have an effect.
It's a short season.
So let's look at the stats here. 38-23, the shot advantage. So a second straight game where UMass Boston has put up a ton of shots on net. Like you said, Matt, if not for Claire Perry, this could have been a much wider margin of victory for UMass Boston. The faceoffs actually being the Wildcats' advantage. They used some of those faceoff wins to control the third period. Both teams 0-for-4 on the power play, as the power play could have given the Beacon some insurance, but love the penalty kill coming up big when it had to in the third period twice.
Agreed, and I thought, both teams had their chances on that power play. You see 0-for-4. I mean, anytime you get 4 power plays in a game, that's pretty good, and neither team able to capitalize. But, again, it goes back to the fact that I thought they both did a very, very good job of playing to their strengths, and fairly decent shot amount for both teams. Johnson & Wales a little bit under, UMass Boston a little bit over, but just like the score indicates, it was a fairly even hockey game. I'd say the difference being that second period where the Beacons were really able to just slightly pull away.
All right, let's take a look at the 3 stars of the game, and not surprising, top 2 stars coming from UMass Boston. We had to give a little bit of a tip of the cap to Claire Perry, Erica Lunn, game-winning goal, your first star, Jane Ann Drill with her first goal this season, Anna Helper, 2-point game for Drill, your second star, and we just can't stop talking about Perry, a deserved third star for Johnson & Wales.
Yeah, she really played well, and I agree with where these players are allotted. I love the game-winning goal, obviously, being your 1-star. And I thought Jane Andrill, we've talked about her a lot, whether it be positive or negative, but I think today she really showed what she's capable of doing. A goal and an assist today was a key factor in this hockey game in a much more positive manner than some of the other games where, she had some challenges. But I thought both those players stood out to me today, and you see them on the 3-star list.
Let's take a look ahead here for UMass Boston. As, again, one last look at the schedule. 2 games before the holiday break. Nichols College coming to town on Wednesday, and then finishing up on the road on Saturday. Do I have those days right? No, I think it's Tuesday. No.
Wednesday
and Friday.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
No, Wednesday and Saturday.
12-10 and 12-13. You can look it up on the calendar.
Yep. I will look it up on the calendar. Tuesday and Friday. I was right the first time.
You had it.
I had it. I got to trust my instincts. But anyway, hey, I'm not even going to try and tell you what day January 3rd is, except that they start off the 2020 schedule at Nichols College. Put it on the calendar. Mark your calendars. We're going to take a break here at Barrie Ice Rink. When we return, we'll talk to head coach Dom Lozzi and Erica Lunn, who had the game winner today on BeaconsAthletics.com.
You tell me it gets better in time. You say I pull myself.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on us.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
It's on us to act as a family and protect one another.
Not hurt one another.
It's on us to trust our instincts and be direct.
To talk openly and honestly about sexual assault.
It's on us.
To not be a bystander. If you see something, say something.
And to intervene in any way that you can.
It's on us.
If someone does not or cannot consent to sex, that is rape.
Consent is voluntary and mutual and can be withdrawn at any time.
And past consent does not mean current or future consent. There is no consent when there is force, intimidation, or coercion. 1 out of every 16 male college students are raped.
And 1 out of every 5 female college students.
Which one of us?
And which one of us?
One thing that we all need to remember is
to never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stop it at the source.
And to spread the word.
So take the pledge and get involved.
The pledge is a personal commitment to help keep men and women safe from sexual assault.
It is a promise not to be a bystander to the problem,
but to be a part of the solution.
It's on us. It's on us.
It's on us.
This has been a year of growth for me, but more importantly, a year of growth for the University of Massachusetts. When I originally was elected to the position, I said that this was my dream job. It's an opportunity to lead a great university, a university that has dramatic impact. A lot has happened. It's been an exciting year. We have had record enrollment. We've had record selectivity. The quality of the students attending the University of Massachusetts has never been stronger. In terms of fundraising, when I was inaugurated as a new president, we raised $1.6 million. It's more money that has ever been raised at any public university inauguration in the history of Massachusetts. We've put $20 million more into financial aid so the students will be able to get the financial assistance that they need. We're interacting with business and industry really across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, trying to get an understanding from them of what skills they're looking for in terms of who they want to hire, to make sure the University of Massachusetts are addressing those needs. I feel energy. I feel that people recognize the fact that we're headed in the right direction and they want to be part of it too. I've had so many parents come up to me and talk about their son or daughter And I remember talking to a parent who had immigrated from Cambodia, and literally tears in his eyes as his daughter is graduating. Those stories are just over and over and over through all of our 5 campuses. There's an indisputable momentum that the University of Massachusetts has right now. All you have to do is visit the campuses and see the quality of the students, the quality of the faculty, and see the enthusiasm. We've made an awful lot of progress, but I can tell you after 1 year, I think of what Dr. King said about a sense of urgency, and that sense of urgency is now. I'm committed to making sure that we keep this momentum going. I'm committed to fighting for the University of Massachusetts in every way that I can, with every fiber that I can, so that we can get to where we want to be, which is the best public university in America. Now is our time.
We're here in the postgame with Coach Dom Losey, and Dom, a really nice win today against the Johnson and Wales team that, quite honestly, has had our number a little bit. 4 first wins since 2017 against this team, now 4 conference wins in a row. Talk to me a little bit about, and the locker room's got to be going right now.
Yeah, I mean, they've had our number for the past few years, and it was definitely nice to get a win. They're a gritty team that is really resilient, so they were giving it to us till the very end, and we had a tough weekend last weekend, so it was a great rebound by us, and definitely good to be back at 4-4 in the league.
Yeah, I agree. And we noticed up in the broadcast, specifically Drill and Colucci, much more active on the offensive side of the puck today. Really saw a bunch of shots on goal. Drill with a goal and an assist, and I thought Colucci did a lot to drive the offense. Was that a change you guys made this week, or was that something that was matchup specific?
It's just something we've been trying to get through for most of the season, to be honest, and they've been, they are offensive-minded as well, and it was great to see them join the rush and to be aggressive, pinching down low, and making sure that we had a forward up high for when they did that.
Yeah, it really, from our perspective, we thought it was one of the factors that made the difference in the win. Now, obviously, a little bit of momentum here to close out 2019. We've got 2 games, 3 to close, 2 against Nichols College. I'm sure, again, the locker room's probably going right now. The girls have to feel good about themselves. What's going to be the mindset to close out the year?
We just want to hopefully gain some momentum here going into a non-conference and then a conference play, and we don't know much about Nichols, but they're always a good team, so let's make sure we're ready to go for Tuesday. It's a quick turnaround, so.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, good luck to you closing out 2019, and hopefully we have you up here on Tuesday once again.
Hope so, too.
We'll throw it to a quick commercial and be back after this.
Division III allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport. It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Well, a solid win here for UMass Boston as they take a 2-1 victory over Johnson and Wales. And we'll do a quick shout-out to our production team. They don't get enough love. They should get far more than just a word at the end of the hockey game. But our producer, Seth Orensky, also the director, Instant Replay, Mary Jo Murphy. Oh, I missed director, Shah Anwar. Play-by-play, Mike O'Brien did a fantastic job by my side today. Matt Meisenbacher on the color. And our camera operators, Kyle Penny, Jared Coltley, Carly Fahey, Elsa Vinaco, and Haley Katiana. That'll be it for the first half of our Beacon broadcast. Catch us again here, 50 minutes. Get yourself some pizza, perhaps another beverage, and we'll be back live here to see the men's version of the matchup you just saw, UMass Boston against Johnson and Wales. Part 2 of our doubleheader here today at the